I'm Teresa Woodard with your headlines from North Texas. Soccer fans from all across the world are in Dallas right now to see the defending World Cup champions, Lionel Messi and Team Argentina, playing Austria in Arlington today. Fans packed Clyde Warren Park in downtown Dallas Sunday afternoon to show their support. Mitty Hicks shows us how the legendary Messi is bringing his nation so much pride.
It's standing room only at Restaurant Argentina 163. Not an empty seat in the house as fans gear up to cheer on the 2022 World Cup champions, Argentina. Has it ever been this packed?
No. But thankfully, it's packed now. We're gonna have a good 10 days here in Dallas for the restaurant. It's just been beautiful. You see all the people coming from Argentina, from other places of the world.
The party kicked into high gear the moment Palmito walked in. He's the artist behind the viral song La Cuatro Estrella.
Argentina, quiero verte bicampeón.
The song translates to the fourth star in English and has become the unofficial anthem for Argentina fans around the world, including here in Dallas.
It's my first time in USA. It's crazy, it's amazing. All the people knows La Cuarta Estrella from Macedonia, from Spain, from Italy.
Of course, for so many fans here, they're hoping for another World Cup, which would make number 4. But for so many people here, it's all about the man of the hour, that man in the middle, Lionel Messi, who they say represents so much good of their culture.
Because of the way he is as a person, family, humble, make us feel very proud of him.
Let's go, Messi.
It's their first trip to Texas, but they believe it could be the last chance to see their national hero and what many fans like this duo call an artist on the World Cup stage.
It's a talent that an artist has.
As for Palmito, he sees a connection between his music and the artistry Messi brings to the field.
Messi es un artista porque
Messi is an artist because football is much more than just the sport.
y Messi es
So to become an artist or be an artist, it's not just in music and art or in anything of entertainment. It's about a feeling and transmitting a feeling.
In Euless, I'm Mitty Hicks.
Soy arquero.
A lot of partying going on out there. Argentinians were also out celebrating their culture in Deep Ellum around a brand new mural honoring their country's soccer culture. The mural is by Dallas artist Joe Skills. Argentina has back-to-back appearances in North Texas after Monday's match. They play here again on Saturday. We are getting a look at the evidence that jurors saw during the Frisco track meet stabbing trial. The jury found Carmelo Anthony guilty of murder in Austin Metcalf's death and then sentenced him to 35 years in prison. Jobin Puttiger walks us through the video that was released by a Collin County court.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
We're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
For the first time, the larger public is hearing
I have an athlete that was stabbed.
and seeing what a jury had to before convicting Carmelo Anthony of murder in the death of Austin Metcalf under this Memorial High School tent. Late Friday, the 296th District Court in Collin County released most of the evidence presented at trial. The 911 calls played in court detail the struggle to keep Austin Metcalf alive.
Stay with me. Stay with me, Austin.
A coach testified to doing compressions. You can hear the chaos in the background.
Hey, you breathing? Yes, ma'am.
One witness testified it was Austin Metcalf's brother, Hunter, you mostly hear.
Come on, Austin. Come on, Austin.
The state's evidence shows the moments of the altercation under that tent, but not clearly. The video spotlights Carmelo Anthony's movements immediately after the stabbing. Anthony runs down the bleachers, runs toward an exit. A jog turns into a slow walk. There were student witnesses who testified to pointing out Carmelo Anthony as he left. Anthony would ultimately walk out onto the field where he's intercepted by a coach. It is there an officer makes first contact.
I'm gonna put your handcuffs for now, okay?
The officer's body camera footage was also released. The moment Anthony is sat down and handcuffed. This is where we hear Anthony recorded for the very first time.
This is the alleged suspect.
Prompted by the officer radioing others.
No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay.
Carmelo Anthony's handcuffed and walked to a police vehicle. He is recorded saying this.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
Whether Carmelo had remorse would come up in court. The court also released a number of photos. Some we have decided not to show because they are graphic. We can show you the multi-tool folding knife with a 3.5-inch blade used in the stabbing. It was found 9 rows up from the bottom. Also, Anthony's blue backpack where the knife was pulled from. There are also multiple photos of the memorial tent where coaches and first responders did triage on Austin Metcalf. There's a photo of blood on Carmelo Anthony's finger while he's seated in a police car. There are even the moments before the stabbing. Carmelo Anthony walking onto the stands, passing tents, and video of Austin Metcalf walking into the stadium for the very first time with friends. All moments before the stabbing that would change the lives of 2 families and leave one teenager dead and another convicted of murder. In Dallas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
Carmelo Anthony's defense team has filed a notice of appeal. His family has also now hired a new attorney. Frisco residents just elected a new mayor for the first time in nearly 10 years. Former Frisco ISD trustee Mark Hill will take office on July 7th. Richard Solomon sat down with outgoing Mayor Jeff Cheney to talk about the city's growing pains and its biggest wins.
Mayor Jeff Cheney has helped guide the city of Frisco to unprecedented growth in his 9 years as mayor, not only making this city attractive to corporations, but also sporting teams and people simply moving here to North Texas. And with every high, there are, of course, lows. But he sat down with me this morning to talk about his legacy here and what he calls an unforgettable experience.
You know, we're known as Sports City USA. I think the next evolution of Frisco is really leaning into arts and culture and entertainment.
Mayor Cheney says that's one of the things he wished they could have brought to Frisco during his 9 years, but still, he's helped bring a lot to the city. First elected in 2017, he won all re-elections, and in those 9 years, Frisco has turned into a city known for sports and just living. Of course, with everything, there are challenges. He says they ran into too much growth too fast, sometimes dealing with infrastructure issues. I asked him what are some of the things he's proud of, and he says it's keeping the feel of a small city with so much growth.
We've started Grand Park, which will be a 1,000-acre park right in the heart of our city. We opened Kaleidoscope Park. We're already expanding that. And of course, we've got Northwest Community Park opening here in just a short month. So that's been, a highlight of my career.
Now, Mayor Cheney's last day in office is July 7th. That is also the day the city will welcome in newly elected Mayor Mark Hill. For now in Frisco, I'm Richard Solomon. Back to you.
Those are your headlines from North Texas.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Orko Manna. Starting with the Houston truck driver's delivery turning into a fight for his life after he was caught in the middle of a mass shooting in Midland, Texas earlier this month. Terrence Williams is still in critical condition in a hospital in Odessa. Now his family is speaking to our Megan Reyna for the first time since the shooting.
It was very horrific, very scary.
For more than 20 years, Terrence Williams has been a truck driver traveling across Texas. On Friday, June 12th, he found himself in the middle of a mass shooting. His cousin, Kimberly Coleman, is still processing what's happened.
Terrence was just doing his job.
Yeah, he was just doing his job. He was going to drop off a load, and his last load, and unbeknownst.
Police say 45-year-old Victor Mata Villarreal started opening fire on both officers and bystanders. They say he killed one person and injured 10 others, then killed himself. One of the bullets pierced through Williams' chest. Williams suffered a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital. He's had 3 surgeries since.
When he do wake up, he's more or less like eye gestures, hands, because he's not talking, with the tubes and everything. And, he'll tear up and then he'll go back to sleep.
But Coleman says police told them if it wasn't for Williams, more people may have died that day. They say his truck, seen in this video, got in the way of the suspected shooter's path.
I truly think that God put him there. You know, it's bad, but I think he put him there at the same time to save the other people's lives.
Now this family is focused on the long road to recovery. Coleman says Williams is a sole provider for his wife and 5 children and is asking for the community's help raising money through an online fundraiser.
God got him. You just got to trust the process and keep the faith.
If you'd like to help, we have a link at our website, khou.com. Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
Megan, thank you. Now to dramatic video of a jet ski exploding on Lake Conroe last week. Take a look. We're told the blast launched a 17-year-old girl into the air and into the water. Now we're hearing from those who saw it happen. Matt Doherty has the story.
The video is wild, and what's crazier is the girl wasn't seriously hurt.
It was as loud as a bomb that went off.
Elliot Dollar was working in his office at HTX Watersports Wednesday afternoon when it happened.
We immediately called 911 and came out here on the deck and started filming just to see if we could catch something crazy.
Game wardens say a 17-year-old girl was on the jet ski when it exploded, sending her flying into the air.
We were amazed that she looked like she was almost unhurt.
Texas Parks and Wildlife confirmed that, saying the teen did not have any major injuries. After she was launched off the jet ski, it caught fire and drifted off to the edge of this finger in the lake. A worker from a nearby business acted quickly to help the girl, taking her from the water to the safety of the dock. Game wardens say the explosion happened when the girl was trying to start the jet ski. However, the cause is still under investigation. Elliot says it appears she had just gotten gas from the most popular pumps on the lake when it happened.
He was incredibly lucky. I mean,
incredibly.
Really bad.
She got launched, we estimate 10, 12 foot in the air, and luckily landed in the water. If she had landed on the dock, that could have been terrible. But yeah, it's amazing that apparently didn't suffer any major injuries, and we're so thankful for that.
From Lake Conroe, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Just glad that girl is okay. Matt, thank you. Now to some good news and a follow-up about a Katy man who bought World Cup tickets for his family but ended up missing the match in Arlington because the tickets were not released until after the match was over. Maria Aguilera has the update.
For Alejandro Roman Fernandez, the countdown to kickoff is back on.
We're not celebrating until we get inside the game.
He's cautiously optimistic for a reason. A few days ago, he reached out to KHOU 11 saying he spent about $3,000 on 4 tickets through StubHub, a Christmas gift for his dad and siblings for a match in Arlington. But the morning of the game, he says he got a message the tickets were not available. Then after the game ended, another message. His tickets were ready. By then, the moment was gone.
That was one of my big questions, like, so what happened?
He got an email from StubHub saying he would receive a full refund along with a voucher for 25% of what he paid. But he and his family say they felt they missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After our story aired, Alejandro says StubHub reached out, offering 4 free tickets to another World Cup match in Arlington.
Which match are you going to?
We're going to the Thursday one, Japan versus Sweden.
This time, the tickets were transferred to his StubHub account and delivered through the FIFA app, the official mobile method for receiving and managing World Cup tickets.
I'm very grateful in general for the opportunity for them to give me tickets for me and my family.
Alejandro wants to warn others to be careful with third-party vendors and last-minute ticket transfers after his last experience ended in disappointment.
But as soon as we get into the stadium and we see the field and we're surrounded by the fans and, you know, we're just in the moment, like that's when it feels real.
This time, he's hoping the story ends differently.
That was Maria Aguilera reporting. Now to Saturday's World Cup match between the Netherlands and Sweden, where hours before kickoff, both teams took over the city in style. Dutch fans flooding Houston streets, thousands decked out in orange, taking part in the traditional fan march to the stadium. And blue, yellow, and plenty of passion as Swedish fans turned their walk to the stadium into a pre-match party. We've seen the action from outside the stadium, but inside, the Netherlands were putting a beat down on Sweden. Luis Ortiz has the details and post-match reaction.
Yeah, a very exciting game here at Houston Stadium in front of 68,777 fans. Netherlands getting a much-needed win, 5-1 over Sweden, especially after they earned just 1 point in their opening game with a 2-2 draw against Japan. Now the Dutch add 3 more points and they are in first place of Group F. The Netherlands, they looked really good, very efficient, really capitalizing and finishing on their chances, while Sweden, some tough luck for them. They were also aggressive. They were knocking on the door, but just they could not put it in the back of the net. So what this game could have been maybe 2-1, 2-2 at halftime, it ended up in a rout of 5-1. And so now both of these teams on different paths. The Netherlands looking to win the group, while Sweden has a tough match against Japan in their final match of the group stage.
Yeah, it's very important because you know that you have to win to gain confidence. I think it was a very good win today, and we have to continue like this, and we have to look what we can do better, what we can improve, but first of all, enjoy the win.
There's no other way other than just get back on the horse and analyzing what we have to do better, analyzing Japan, and yeah, just preparing to do a good performance and hopefully win. That's all we got to do.
Okay, so the Netherlands now making some history. They become the first team ever to score 100 World Cup goals, but to have never actually won the tournament. Reporting from Houston Stadium, Luis Ortiz, KHOU 11 News.
A decisive victory for the Dutch. Luis, thank you. Well, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Orko Manna.
Hello, Texas. I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez with your weather update. We are expecting a break in the rain for most of us as we head into our work week. We have a dome of high pressure moving in from the west that's going to really bring some warmer temperatures across our area. So feeling more like summer heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, but next weekend might even see some isolated showers. But take a look at these temperatures for the next 3 days. 106 in El Paso, 107 on Tuesday, 106 on Wednesday. And so folks that are along the coast might be a little bit cooler, but the humidity is also going to be a factor. So if you're traveling across the state, we're not expecting any weather hazards that's really going to prevent any travel plans. We will see some showers and maybe some isolated storms out towards North Texas for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I think that's going to be mostly north of Fort Worth and Dallas. So the setup is this. We have a high pressure system moving in from the west. It's going to really just keep all that rain out of the picture and just really bring some hotter conditions across much of the state. And we are also looking at those conditions to remain mostly hot in terms of our feels like temp. So if you are along the coast, maybe from Houston to Corpus Christi, we're still going to see that surge of humidity be a factor on those feels like temp. So future temperatures across the state, a little bit cooler for areas, especially across Oklahoma. There is a frontal boundary that's just really not going to make it this far south. So you're able to see those temperature differences as we head into Monday afternoon. But 105 for Midland, 100 for Del Rio. San Antonio 94 out in the Houston area, and then temps are going to get a bit warmer heading into Wednesday, and so that's we're going to see more of those triple digit tips for portions of West Texas, but 97 likely for Houston, and even Dallas looking at around 96, 97 degrees. And so the rest of the week mostly hot, pretty humid for central and the west portions of southeast Texas. But as far as your potential rain totals, just really not expecting much here for the next few days. Might even see some isolated showers and some storms, but I think for the most part this high pressure system just going to really keep that rain out of the picture. The latest drought report is showing great conditions, especially for portions of west central Texas all the way towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we are seeing some improvements from all the recent rain that we've received, and we're also looking at great conditions in terms of no drought for portions of the Houston area. But the fire risk as we go into the next 2 days, not really much, very low fire risk. We're not expecting any dry conditions, but that temperature outlook warmer than normal as we ring in the month of July. So we are expecting those conditions to remain mostly just a bit above average. So as far as your forecast, as we head into the next 2 to 3 days, we are expecting triple digit temps for West Texas. 106, 107 degrees, even Midland, 103, 100 for Tuesday. Wednesday, 99 degrees for North Texas. We're going to be in the mid to upper 90s. Monday might be a little stormy for folks out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but for Central Texas, we are looking at mostly just hot and humid conditions with those highs in the 90s all across the board. And so if you're heading out to the valley, we are also going to see those temps about 95, 98 degrees, especially for McAllen. So definitely stay safe out there and stay hydrated and practice those heat safety measures as we head into this week.
Brianna Perez in Austin. It's been more than 2 years since a shooting at a Juneteenth celebration in Round Rock claimed the lives of 2 women. The community enjoyed the city's annual celebration on Saturday. Jose Alonso breaks down the security plans in place to help people take part in the festivities without worry.
For almost 2 decades, the city of Round Rock continues to celebrate Juneteenth as its annual festival expects about 25,000 people in attendance.
It's so good to remember the past for everybody who suffered and went in the past to the future. For us to realize that we all have to stick together.
We're all together, no matter what. It's dancing, celebrating, doing line dancing, even area. It's just a great community overall. Juneteenth is a beautiful holiday to celebrate.
While families enjoy festivities, there's also a notable heavy police presence throughout the new Round Rock Lakeview stage at Old Settlers Park, from watchtowers to foot patrol.
If you look, there are cameras everywhere. You'll see them on the pavilion, you'll see them on the stage. We've got a lot going on.
2 years ago in 2024, the vibe was different, as a late-night shooting at the annual festival killed 2 women and injured 14 others. Some of the victims included children. Police arrested 7 people in connection to this crime, 5 of whom still remain in jail. The man facing 2 murder charges, Keyshawn Dixon, has a jury trial set to begin on September 21st.
It was a sad moment. Hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. This is about a celebration. This is about us being together and celebrating without having that kind of incident. So we want to be positive at all times.
The city of Round Rock says to curb potential future violent acts, departments hold meetings ahead of large public events like this one to ensure law enforcement is where it needs to be.
Community and awareness play a huge role in this, so everybody's in it together. You can see our Citizens on Patrol. People can take our Citizens Police Academy, and if they're interested in continuing to be a citizen on patrol, they can come out to these events too and just help us with general awareness.
Although security seems tight, these families appreciate the safe atmosphere.
It's unfortunate, but you know, I'm so glad that the Round Rock Police Department are on it. I saw their presence from the time we parked. You know what I mean? They are locked in. So I'm glad that, you know what I mean, they're here so that we can be at peace.
Peace of mind and plenty of smiles while we celebrate Freedom Day. In Round Rock, Jose Alonso, KVUE News.
One of the 7 people arrested and facing an engaging in organized criminal activity charge, Terrell Hatch, is out of jail and has a hearing scheduled for July 27th. Police say a juvenile suspect was also arrested, but information on who they are and what charges they could be facing is withheld due to their age. A split-second incident is the focus of an investigation in Bastrop County. A couple shared video with us after they say someone threw some kind of object into their windshield. As Jessica Cha shows us, deputies are investigating at least 3 similar reports.
What started as a routine drive
21 is just right up here.
on a familiar road
We were actually on our way home.
turned
Oh my God.
into a frighteningly close call for Christian and Matthew Brothers.
Glass went everywhere, went on my husband, went on I.
On Tuesday, Christian Brothers says they were driving east on Highway 21 in Bastrop when an object was thrown, hitting their windshield.
Then we saw that it looked like a gravel rock or something to that nature.
Christian Brothers says they immediately called and reported the incident to the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office, where they learned they weren't the only victims.
One was a back window. We were the front window, and the other one was a chip on the side of the window, is what the Bastrop police told us.
The Bastrop Sheriff's Office confirmed there were multiple victims whose cars were hit and are searching for a suspect. In the meantime, Brothers says they've had to pay $1,000 to replace their windshield.
Unfortunately, we already got a crack in it.
And she hopes the person who was responsible is found soon.
I want this person found before somebody gets killed. I mean, if it hit just right, I probably wouldn't be speaking to you.
In Bastrop, Jessica Cha, KVUE News.
Over the weekend, Austin leaders joined the community to finish a mural celebrating the LGBTQ community. Mayor Kirk Watson and City Council member Zoe Kadri were just a few city officials spotted with the community, painting multicolored hearts near the intersection of 4th and Colorado Streets. It's the same intersection where a rainbow crosswalk is set to be removed. TxDOT said artwork like these on the road are a safety issue. Monday is the deadline to submit a plan to remove the roadwork displays.
You can take our crosswalk, but you can't take our spirit. You can't take our joy.
The city of Austin sought an exemption so officials could leave the street markings. The city of Austin also celebrated a display that honors the work of artists of color in Austin. Under the same state directive, the city has to get rid of it or risk losing state funding. Daniel Pro shows us how the city is hoping to maintain the message it sends.
Along 11th Street, for the last 6 years, yellow letters on the road between Waller and Lydia Streets have sent a message: Black artists matter.
This was a strong message about placemaking where you are that helped people identify that this is what it was.
The mural acknowledging local artists of color and their contributions to the city sits in the heart of the African American community in East Austin.
It calls attention to our history and it celebrates what our future ought to be.
The mural was painted in 2020 in the midst of a nationwide movement for social justice.
It's unfortunate that here we are in 2026 and we're still being reminded about the kind of sadness that some people want to bring to people.
Back in October, TxDOT said that the city has to remove murals like this one because colorful markings on the road like these are a safety issue. The state agency rejected the city's request to keep them. So now the city has until Monday to submit a plan to remove these murals. Other art, like the Pride crosswalks downtown and the giant Texas near the UT campus, also have to go.
The edict to take up markings on the street was done, I think, to create sadness and some division.
Mayor Kirk Watson isn't happy about removing the murals. The city had no choice since not doing so would put state and federal funding at risk. So staff are looking at other ways to send the same messages.
Let's use it as an opportunity to show, okay, you think that hurts us? We'll show you by doing other things that celebrate our diversity.
A task force has been meeting since April to discuss solutions that follow state and federal rules.
We didn't want to look at this as a compliance issue from the city. We wanted to look at this as a cultural and an art opportunity for us. These are public spaces.
Ideas include wall murals or sidewalk art, spots throughout the district where they can honor prominent African Americans and celebrate the area's heritage.
You're going to see the whole big rollout. There's going to be new banners on 11th Street now that all the lights are on.
Friday's celebration marked the end of this road marking, but its removal is the start of new ways to honor what it stands for.
It is a celebration because it will be reimagined and it will be replaced, and we aren't going anywhere.
In East Austin, Daniel Perot, KVUE News.
Well, that's all from us in Austin. Have a great day.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. Southeast Texas is drying out after a storm flooded streets, yards, and even some homes. Nearly 10 inches fell in parts of Mid-County. Let's take a look at some of the damage. This video was taken by our 12 News crews in Bridge City. You can see flooding near homes. Even streets were blocked off due to high water. Tow trucks were even seen trying to get cars and drivers to safety. And families in Bridge City are spending the night elsewhere as their homes are drying out. And Brittany Frank sent us this from her home. She says there was nothing she could do to keep that water from coming in. And the city of Port Arthur now has its first Hispanic council member in decades after a recent city council election. Warren Pena will represent District 3. The election showed that residents wanted change after all incumbents running for re-election were replaced. 20 News reporter Daniela Tabawada spoke with Pena, who says he's honored to be a part of that history.
Pues para nosotros es un orgullo.
The Hispanic community of Port Arthur is seeing history happen.
So we're excited that he's won, and but I know he's going to represent the whole community.
Warren Pena not only won his spot on Port Arthur City Council for District 3, but he also won the title of the first Hispanic City Council member in several decades, a title he is honored to receive.
It means a lot. I'm very humbled. I'm excited to represent District 3. I am proud of my heritage of being of Hispanic descent, but I do represent the whole city of Port Arthur. and I don't just represent one race or one age group or one group of people.
Peña was born and raised in Port Arthur and never thought of becoming a politician, but says he's heard residents' concerns and wanted to do something, starting on his first day on city council.
The biggest issue is the water. We have had many people during the campaign that complain about the water bill, getting charged twice, their bill getting cut off. So that is the first thing I do plan to tackle.
Community leaders like Zulema Escobedo are hoping Peña can bridge the language barrier for Port Arthur residents.
And I think having a Spanish-speaking representative, you'll be able to understand more and deeper facts the communication that the community is trying to get in the Hispanic community.
While others are just hoping new representation will bring better opportunities for the Hispanic population.
Now with the Hispanic in power, we can now have more liberties to get better opportunities.
That was Daniela Tapawara reporting. All new council members are meant to be sworn in this week, and their first council meeting will be on the 30th. And 21-year-old Rashad Brady, wanted in connection to a 2024 shooting, is now in custody. Beaumont police and members of the Southeast Texas Violent Crime Task Force arrested Rashad on Dowden Road. Authorities say he was wanted on 2 warrants for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, stemming from a shooting on Harrison Avenue. He was taken into custody without incident. And a Beaumont student is headed to the nation's capital after using his words to take a stand against violence, bullying, and discrimination. At just 14 years old, Oldham Academy student Diego Guerrera is one of this year's winners for the National Do the Right Thing essay contest. He, along with more than 570 students, wrote about violence, bullying, and other challenges young people are facing today. For Guerrera, the essay wasn't just another school assignment. As a Hispanic student, he says the words he wrote reflect fears shared by countless young people.
Me and hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of other kids are just feared. They just scared that they won't be able to see their parents, one day walking into the house.
Diego hopes his words inspire people to treat each other with kindness and remember that every voice matters. That's why Sherry Pullum with the Texas Family Care Network says when she read through all those essays, she knew Diego was the winner.
When I read Diego's essay, it just touched my heart. I knew that he wrote it from his heart. I know without a doubt I picked the right ambassador for us to take to Washington.
Once in the nation's capital, Diego, alongside with his sister and teacher, will read his essays before members of Congress. And those were your headlines from Southeast Texas.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. The sister of Elisa Roberson, the young girl who disappeared back in 1989 from Aransas Pass, is speaking out after receiving a very public apology from the city of Aransas Pass.
I wish to extend my sincere apologies to the Robertson family as well as close friends for what you have endured over the past years. And I mean that with all my heart.
The apology came during this past week's city council meeting and after the family recently received decades-old case files from police and months after a geoforensic search of Elisa's childhood home turned up no new evidence. Mayor Jason Knight also acknowledged the years of unanswered questions and the family's efforts to keep her case in the spotlight. Elisa's sister Ruby spoke with me and says hearing those words was something her family waited years to hear.
It was so surreal to me. I want to say in a state of shock that we finally made it to that point, but also very, very excited, very happy, a lot of emotions mixed into one. We were just so happy to finally hear those words.
Was it still? She says her family spent years pushing for accountability after claims, she says, wrongfully targeted members of their own families. She says their work is not finished yet. After reviewing the recently released case files, Ruby says there are still things missing, including follow-up information and personal property. And the family is now discussing possible next steps with their attorney. Juneteenth celebrations drew a big crowd out at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Our Ryan Hopper takes us inside the annual Coastal Bend Festival, celebrating freedom and the challenges still ahead.
Saturday's Coastal Bend Juneteenth Festival was a vibrant display of culture, cooperation, and even a solo show-stopping performance. But no matter what was going on, organizer Simone Sanders was there greeting everyone at the door with a wristband and a smile.
We support students, staff, and faculty at institutions of higher education, but we have found ourselves doing social organization as well in Corpus Christi.
She's the president of the Texas Association of Black Personnel in Higher Education, or TABFE for short, which invited dozens of vendors and other community organizations. The goal? To celebrate and to educate.
Historically, Corpus Christi is one of the first places where Juneteenth was celebrated. Some of the archives that I've dug up in Corpus Christi point to at least the late 1800s.
But it's not just the holiday that's steeped in tradition, it's the organizations that made it possible.
Our first public act as a sorority was for our 22 founders to march in the Women's Suffrage March in Washington, D.C. Even though because they were black women, there were still some issues with them participating. They took a stand and they said, no, we're going to participate in this because we believe that women should have the right to vote and we want to make our public statement to say so.
And 60 years later, one of Pretty's sorority sisters took another stand, helping support the movement to establish Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a federal holiday.
Stevie Wonder had created the song Happy Birthday with the intention of garnering support for the national holiday, and he was there live performing that song on that March on Washington in 1983.
For veterans like Willard Lassiter, Juneteenth is always a reminder of the sacrifices made by Union soldiers to secure that freedom.
But I'm happy that I serve my country, love my country. No greater place than to be here in the United States of America.
Ryan Hopper, 3 News.
And that's a quick look at some of what's happening in South Texas.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and here's your news in San Antonio. What started as a road rage incident on the northeast side ends with a man stabbed after police say he pulled over to confront another driver. Police say it happened just after 11 Saturday night off Parambital Road. Investigators say the victim pulled over to confront that driver after some kind of road rage incident. Well, during that confrontation, police say the suspect stabbed the man in the stomach and then took off. The victim was rushed to the hospital and is expected to survive. Detectives, though, tell us they are still trying to track down that suspect. An 18-year-old man is now behind bars weeks after gunfire erupted at a Northwest Side graduation party that left an innocent bystander fighting for his life. According to an arrest warrant, Alfred Marlowe Sims got into a fistfight at the graduation party in late May off Quinton Drive. Investigators say Sims was angry that he lost the fight and then grabbed a gun from a friend and started shooting. Police say the bullets hit a 17-year-old who was standing near the front door and had nothing to do with the fight. The teen suffered life-threatening injuries when a bullet pierced his lung. Sims is now being charged with aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. An unexpected twist in a murder investigation. Police say the man accused of killing his friend walked up to officers the very next day and confessed. According to an arrest warrant, the day after the murder, 36-year-old Julio Castro told officers he had, quote, done something while using drugs and wanted to turn himself in. Well, investigators say that something was the shooting death of his friend, identified as David Rodriguez Cabrera. The violence unfolded Friday afternoon off the 900 block of South San Agustin. When officers got there, they found the 36-year-old victim, who they say had been shot multiple times. He died on the scene. When he was brought in for questioning, the warrant states that Castro told conflicting stories to detectives and actually had a bus ticket to Dallas in his pocket. But investigators say surveillance video and witness accounts finally sealed the case, and they charged Castro with murder. He was booked in the Bexar County Jail, his bond set at $250,000. New details in a deadly domestic violence case that ended with a woman dead, a police officer shot, and an hours-long standoff. And at the other end of the tragedy, 2 children who police say were inside the home when their mother was killed by her estranged husband. KENS 5's Mike Jimenez has more on the suspect's alleged history of violence.
San Antonio Police Chief William McManus says Friday's murder began as a shots fired call at a home on Red Hawk Ridge near Hardy Oak Boulevard in Stone Oak. What followed was an hours-long standoff and a gruesome discovery inside the home.
The suspect shot his way in through one of the glass doors, gets inside, kills his estranged or soon-to-be estranged wife. There were 2 children in the house. At the time, they are both okay. We got them out.
After the standoff ended and officers went inside the home, they found the suspect, 44-year-old Albert Nixon Richter IV, had taken his own life. Saturday, the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as Richter's estranged wife, 40-year-old Brianna Nicole Richter. Chief McManus says Richter also shot a responding officer in the stomach.
He had surgery and is in stable condition and in recovery.
According to an arrest warrant in February, Richter hit his wife with a gun, pointed it at her, threatening to kill her multiple times. Then in another incident in April, another warrant states Richter choked his wife, then headbutted and slapped her. Both attacks, police say wife Brianna Richter told them she feared for her life and her children's safety.
I think there's a lot we can do as a city, a county, a region to really impact domestic violence and protect potential victims and existing victims and encourage people to come forward. And remember, this affects children.
District 9 Councilwoman Misty Spears weighed in after the tragedy, calling for more officers, not only in her district, but all over the city.
I am going to continue to demand that we have more police presence. These tragedies have to be part of that conversation.
The councilwoman's comments come after 3 violent incidents this week in her district, including the murder of a 17-year-old and 2 officer-involved shootings.
It brings to the forefront how dangerous this job is and how important it is.
Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
This was the second San Antonio police officer shot in the line of duty just last week alone. On Tuesday, a SWAT officer was shot in the leg while trying to arrest a wanted felon. Well, new court documents are now shedding light on why police launched an immediate manhunt for that suspect. According to an arrest warrant, police were notified the 35-year-old Roman Peña was making Molotov cocktails and even placed one in a vacant apartment. The warrant states Peña was afraid of intruders and made the explosive devices to, quote, bomb their car or them. Peña is also accused of having a stash of guns and rifles and threatened to shoot anyone looking suspicious. Investigators say when officers tried to arrest Peña on Tuesday off the 12,000 block of Jones-Maltsberger, he shot SWAT officer Adele McCrane in the leg. 4 officers then fired back, hitting Peña. Both officers in those 2 separate incidents are expected to recover from their injuries. And that's your news here in San Antonio.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A major crash happened in Hill County Saturday. An official with Texas DPS confirmed 6 people were killed in that crash on State Highway 171 between Bynum and Malone. DPS says the crash happened just after 4:30 Saturday afternoon when a northbound passenger car attempted to pass another vehicle and collided head-on with an oncoming van. Investigators say both vehicles caught fire after the impact. 2 adults and 2 children inside the van died at the scene. A 3rd child was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The 2 people inside the passenger car were also killed. Authorities have not yet released the names of those victims involved, and the crash remains under investigation. The resting place of nearly 600 formerly enslaved people and soldiers is now being preserved through the efforts of one local teenager. The 7-Star Cemetery is named after the 7 stars that guided enslaved people to freedom along the Underground Railroad. Josh Hugg has organized a $32,000 restoration effort to replace the headstones that have worn away over time. Many of the graves were unmarked, and Howard had to use ground-penetrating radar to identify them.
And a lot of them are illegible, or the spray paint has just completely come off. So we are going out here and replacing them with much more permanent and actually engraved granite, and that will last lifetimes.
Now, over the next 2 days, volunteers showed up and helped restore 166 names and stories that would have been lost to time. Howard spent those days digging and replacing headstones with long-lasting granite. He hopes that in the next few months, an additional 21 markers can be engraved in that cemetery. It's been 1 year since the former Hillsborough Outlet Mall was demolished to make way for a new vision. Now city leaders say that vision is becoming a reality as new businesses open their doors and more developments are on the horizon. 6 News reporter Madison Palumbo has an update.
Yes, Adriana, the Hillsborough outlets were demolished last summer, but now there's a $75 million redevelopment project called The Point at Hillsborough, taking over the outlets. That project will include many new restaurants and businesses for the Hillsborough community to enjoy, including a Panda Express that's currently being built right behind me. For years, the Outlet Mall was one of Hillsborough's most recognizable landmarks, but as vacancies grew and businesses slowed, many residents felt it no longer reflected the community's potential. Now, city leaders say that's changing, bringing new restaurants, retailers, and investments to the city.
Well, we're excited that we're underway with phases 1 and 1A of what will ultimately be a 3-phase redevelopment of the former Hillsborough Outlet Mall, now known as The Point at Hillsborough.
Several major businesses have been announced, including Chick-fil-A, Chili's, Panda Express, Waffle House, and Boot Barn. Henderson says more companies are considering the development as early businesses begin to see success.
Some of these restaurants, particularly Chick-fil-A and Panda Express, were at the top of residents' list when they were talking about businesses that they'd like to see in Hillsborough.
Not every storefront came down at the mall. Businesses like Bath & Body Works, Vine Nails, and the Hillsborough Arts League remained and continued to serve the community. Leaders say the redevelopment is already generating excitement and helping reshape the city's image. This has created a stronger first impression for the visitors traveling through Hillsborough.
When people see the outlet mall, they identify that with Hillsborough. And so for the longest time, when it was sort of dormant and not performing well, people associated that with the city of Hillsborough. It didn't reflect well on our community.
Today, construction continues across the site with additional retailers and restaurants in talks to join the growing development. For 6 News, I'm Madison Palumbo.
Now, the full project could take years to complete, but city leaders say residents are already seeing the benefits. And while officials aren't naming names just yet, they say more business announcements are expected in the near future. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hello, I'm Nayeli Carrillo, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A family is honoring the memory of a father whose compassion didn't end with his death. Just months after Joel Mack was killed by an intoxicated wrong-way driver, his final act of generosity is giving others a second chance at life. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shares how his children are keeping his legacy alive.
To his patients, Joel Mack was a compassionate nurse practitioner. To his coworkers, he was the one who can make anyone laugh. But to his children, he was their safe place, their biggest cheerleader, and the person they can always count on.
He was the first person I called for anything big happening in my life. He was the first one that I'd call.
A few months ago, the 57-year-old was driving home from an overnight shift when investigators say an intoxicated wrong-way driver crashed into his vehicle on Highway 259 near Diana. Joel Mack did not survive, but because he chose to be an organ donor, his story did not end there.
I think that potentially one day down the road, those recipients would probably love the opportunity to say thank you to Joel's family.
A family that, while still grieving, is grateful for the memories they share. And as Father's Day arrives, his children say the grief is still fresh.
And it's so soon after the accident. So I just think I'm gonna try and use that day to spend time doing things that he loved.
As his memory lives on, his children say that humor and kindness weren't just a part of his job, they were who he was.
And he was talking to you, you were the center of attention, you were the subject. He never made it about himself, and you felt like you were important in the conversation.
Now, even in their heartbreak, they hope others remember not only how Joel died, but how he lived, and how through the gift of organ donation, he continues to save lives every single day.
I would love to hold his hand again or hug him one more time. And that's really hard to think that that's taken away from you so quickly.
Said goodbye to him way too early. I cherish the time that I had with him.
In Texarkana, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
Hundreds gathered in Longview Saturday to celebrate Juneteenth and honor the history, culture, and contributions of the African American community. The celebration featured a parade, vendors, live entertainment, and a Black Expo highlighting local businesses and organizations. City leaders say the event has grown in recent years, adding more participation and educational elements focused on Juneteenth history.
The city of Longview is helping to celebrate Juneteenth throughout our community, and where we bring people together to reflect on the intent of the celebration for this weekend and for this day.
Officials also said Juneteenth events will continue throughout the month across Longview, giving residents more opportunities to take part in the celebration. Colorful performances, community resources, and a message of acceptance filled the W.T. Brookshires Conference Center Saturday afternoon.
The reason we put this event on is so that way we can provide the East Texas community with a sense of togetherness, to give people that space to be sure that they can come together as a community in a loving space, a loving, accepting space.
Hundreds gathered for this year's Rose City Pride celebration in Tyler. The event, hosted by Tyler Area Gays or TAG Plus, featured more than 130 vendors, food trucks, live entertainment, and dozens of community resource organizations. Attendees were also able to connect with mental health services, health resources, and other local support groups throughout the day. That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Nayeli Carrillo.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Soccer fans near and far erupted the moment Lionel Messi broke the record for most goals in the World Cup. They broke out in cheers as soon as the ball touched the net. It was his 17th goal in the global tournament, breaking a tie with Germany's Miroslav Klose. The history was made inside Dallas Stadium, and Scoop Jefferson caught up with some Argentina fans ahead of that kick.
As rideshare drivers dropped off soccer fans making their way to Dallas Stadium.
We actually Ubered, and it was easy. The drop-off was easy.
It's the game Rashay Rice has been waiting for, a soccer player herself.
I've been playing soccer since I was 4, and I stopped when I was in college, but this is being here in America is so much fun.
Rice is among those sporting their team favorite for the Argentina versus Austria game. Austria fans showed their team spirit during this march to the stadium. Rideshare customer Dina Allegretti, an Argentina native, brought the same energy and her lucky charms.
I made my earrings. This is Messi. He's our lucky charm. And this is the World Cup that we hope he brings back home.
Dina joined the crowds at Texas Alive to watch the game. Some fans making early predictions.
I'm not very good with predicting the exact numbers, but all I know is that we're going to win.
I do think Argentina is going to win.
What's your predictions on today's game?
I think we're going to win, probably 2-0.
Despite heavy traffic in the entertainment district, some higher-priced parking lots like Globe Life Fieldhouse for $80 remained almost empty. And using the rideshare lot also meant a walk in the heat.
I was prepared for that, so I got to get my steps in before the game.
For fans not looking to count steps, transportation organizers provided golf cart rides as FIFA volunteers helped direct people to the stadium to cheer on their teams. In Arlington, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
A jury is being seated in the criminal case against Johnson County Sheriff Adam King. Brittany Costello shows us what's at stake before testimony begins.
Attorneys spent the day questioning more than 100 potential jurors. Most of them claim to have no knowledge of the case against their county sheriff. Johnson County Sheriff Adam King is back in court Monday as jury selection gets underway. We caught up with him at a hearing earlier this year.
Well, I'm just ready to get my name cleared.
Sheriff King was indicted on felony charges in August 2025 after a female employee accused him of sexual harassment.
In passing, it would be, hello, Dr. Skinny, wanting to do ungodly things to me if I continue to lose weight.
Sheriff King is accused of using his position to retaliate against her and other witnesses, including his own deputy chief, James Salter, who tried to investigate it. Salter was fired last month. Christopher Cook is Salter's attorney.
I think he is more worried at this point about how he's going to put food on the table for his family.
Despite the criminal case, the sheriff stayed in his elected office, denying the allegations against him. Bill Mason is his attorney.
I feel good. The case needs to go to trial. It needs to get in front of a jury.
The district attorney's office says King has not only failed to follow court orders, but he was indicted again earlier this year. He's accused of lying under oath. There are no cameras allowed inside the courtroom. The trial is expected to resume at 9 tomorrow morning and could continue into next week. In Johnson County, I'm Brittany Costello.
Because he can't speak no more. I'm going to speak for him.
There are new calls for transparency after 3 Tarrant County inmates died in 4 days. Former inmate Matt Greer's family says police arrested him for copper theft a few weeks ago. Last week, his mother got a call saying Greer suffered a massive brain bleed and died. And now his family is demanding an investigation into their son's death and the jail.
We want some answers. I don't know if it takes an investigation, but that's what we want. We want some answers on what happened to our son and why is he not here today.
The sheriff's office told us Greer had a significant medical history before being booked and say the circumstances contain misinformation and half-truths. That said, there have been at least 70 deaths in the Tarrant County Jail in the past 9 years. A youth baseball team from Aledo traveled to Mississippi for a tournament and got caught in the severe flooding there. But as Luke Clary shows us, the Parker County Pickles didn't have to wait long before help was on the way.
This Aledo travel baseball team found themselves in a pickle in Mississippi. Caught in a flood, only one way out.
Yeah, it was kind of scary because the water had a very strong current pulling towards the river. It was flowing very fast.
What else do we have in there?
It was scary when they got there and the water was kind of rushing.
Baseball mom Terry Vollmer caught it all on camera. The water rising from a couple of inches on the basketball court to just beneath the net.
It had just been pouring down rain, storming, more river flooding than what they had anticipated.
The rain stopped just hours before the tournament was set to start, but the neighborhood was unrecognizable.
Now there's that road sign.
The team needed help.
Said, oh, this one here probably going to be a story,
That call went to Robert Pearson and the Cajun Navy.
Like I said, we do a lot of rescues, but not normally a whole baseball team.
The Cajun Navy started after Hurricane Katrina. Since then, its volunteers have responded to Hurricane Harvey, last summer's flooding in the Hill Country, and many more disasters.
Coming down the stairs, the current was really strong coming through the stairs. I said, don't worry. I said the boat may tip one way or the other. We'll be fine.
The rescuers and the team, cool as cucumbers all the way. It's only fitting.
We decided to name the team the Pickles.
The Parker County Pickles.
When they first said Pickles, I was like, what? Like, okay.
The Pickles didn't end up winning the tournament. They came home with the story that will outlast any trophy. Reporting from Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
Thrill seekers have been waiting for Six Flags to open its new record-breaking coaster in Arlington. and it'll be longer than initially thought. Six Flags Over Texas is delaying the grand opening of Tormenta Rampaging Run, a mega coaster set to open on Friday. Park officials say tests are taking longer than expected, but promise it is worth the wait. Certainly a lot of folks will be happy to get on board when it opens. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. A family dealing with a devastating loss in the Katy area may take civil action. This after the family matriarch, a 76-year-old grandmother, was killed when investigators say a man driving a Tesla slammed into the home. The driver who survived claims the vehicle was on autopilot. Megan Reyna with the possible civil and criminal fallout.
Days after this tragedy, the family has hired an attorney with plans on filing a lawsuit. This all unfolding as we wait to see if the driver will be facing any criminal charges.
He didn't deserve to go that way.
Just a day after losing her mother suddenly, Jennifer Barber sat down with me Saturday.
That's where my mom was.
Still in shock and full of grief. She was in the backyard Friday around 8 when a 44-year-old driver in a Tesla Model 3 smashed through the front of her home, killing her mother, 76-year-old Martha Avila. Investigators say the driver claims he was using the autopilot system.
I don't know if it's his fault or is it the car's fault or like what really happened. I've never seen a car go that fast.
Days later, the driver is still not facing any criminal charges. Harris County investigators say he did not appear intoxicated. We spoke with an attorney not connected to this case, Eric Gerard. He expects to see a civil lawsuit going after both the driver and Tesla for negligence.
There is a precedent here, precedents that are developing across the country involving Tesla in particular, which does place a significant amount of blame on the company. And it will be interesting to see whether this is another one of those cases.
Gerard points out that Tesla has two different systems the driver may have been using. Autopilot is the type of technology many vehicles have now with features like lane assistance, but Tesla now has a full self-driving mode.
Now, in Texas and everywhere, frankly, the human in the seat remains the responsible party. They are at the wheel and they must be ready to take over.
He says the Tesla should have advanced technology that tracks which system was in use, if any, and how fast the driver was going. Gerard says this will help determine if the driver could face criminally negligent homicide or vehicular manslaughter charges. But he adds it depends on how reckless investigators believe the driver was.
She was the best grandma, the best mom. The loss is going to be very hard.
This afternoon, we learned the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has launched its own investigation into this crash. It's important to note this agency is already investigating Tesla for its self-driving feature. We reached out to Tesla several times, but have yet to hear back. Reporting from Katy, Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
Now to an exclusive interview with a man who made a disturbing discovery in an auto body shop in the Aldine area over the weekend. He found the decomposing bodies of two men in a minivan that was reportedly shipped to Houston from an auction in the Rio Grande Valley. Jason Miles with the latest.
The worker tells me that van behind me is where the bodies were found. It was processed over the weekend, but right now, many questions remain. This collision-damaged minivan became the focus of another investigation over the weekend when workers from an auto body shop opened for business.
We smell something weird, right?
They opened the rear hatch and found the decomposing bodies of two men.
What did you think when you saw the bodies?
First of all, I'd be like in shock, right?
This is video from the scene on Saturday after the Harris County Sheriff's Office and others showed up. Investigators told us that getting positive IDs was among the first priorities.
Then we might know when the last time they were seen by family members or friends, and therefore we can start maybe putting more of a timeline on when all this happened and how long they have been deceased.
According to the worker who did not want to be identified, a customer bought the minivan through an online auction before having it transported all the way from the McAllen area. It appears as if no one noticed the bodies in the back during that process. In fact, the worker says he called the transport driver who had dropped it off a day before the discovery.
And I explained to him, okay, do you smell something? You see something weird? And he said, no, everything was fine. And then I go straight to the point and I explained to him there was two bodies.
He says he's worked on a lot of vehicles, but never one.
No, first time.
that showed up in this condition. That worker believes the men were anywhere from their 20s to their 40s, but decomposition can certainly have an effect on how a body looks. Right now, no updates from the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and I was unable to reach someone with the auction company down in McAllen. In the Aldine area tonight, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Quite a mystery there. A constable deputy who was shot in the line of duty is now home. The Harris County Precinct 4 Constable's Office sharing a picture of Deputy Dante Cepeda being released from the hospital. On Friday, investigators say a 38-year-old man seen in this Ring video shot Cepeda and another deputy at an apartment complex in Humble. The other deputy is also okay. Now we're hearing from the woman who shared the video. Megan Reyna has more.
These videos were captured Friday night, showing a man walking around with a gun outside his neighbor's door at the pavilion at the Groves complex in Humble. That neighbor, who asked to remain anonymous, says thankfully she wasn't home, but she got an alert on her Ring app.
I thought maybe it was misreading something, so I opened the app, and sure enough, there was someone in front of my door with what looked like a rifle.
Moments later, around 10 p.m., she gets another alert.
I clicked the live feed, and he's shooting directly at my door.
The Harris County Precinct 4 Constable's Office would show up to the scene. They say the suspect, identified by court records as 38-year-old Edgar Villegas, began shooting at them, striking 2 deputy constables. Part of the shootout recorded by a different neighbor.
I was shocked at honestly what I was looking at. Right now, I can't believe this happened.
Investigators say the suspect would then barricade himself inside his apartment, but with the help of a canine, he was eventually arrested, then taken to the hospital. Villegas is already facing an aggravated assault against a public servant charge.
I just can't stop thinking about, what if?
2 days later, the damage left behind paints a picture of what happened here. The suspect's apartment boarded up, bullet holes everywhere, including inside this neighbor's apartment, from the kitchen to the bedroom and closet.
I definitely believe there were angels watching. Honestly, the whole building, it could have gone very bad very quickly for a lot of us if we were home.
Fortunately, she says most of the people living in her building weren't home Friday night. As far as why this man went after her apartment in the first place, she has no idea. She says they were friendly towards each other, and he never showed any signs of violence or aggression.
It's very sad to see. Just the guy that I would see on a normal day isn't the guy that I saw that night.
Reporting in Humble, Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
Okay, Texas, we've got a change in the weather pattern, and what it means is we're going to be hot and mostly dry for the foreseeable future as a summer-like weather pattern really settles in over the Lone Star State. This is Tuesday afternoon. Rain chances very slim. An isolated shower out in the mountains, maybe less than a 10% chance there, maybe an isolated storm toward Amarillo and Borger. That's about it. Otherwise, the rest of us just sweat in the heat. Thunderstorms on the Red River just north of Dallas Tuesday evening. Now keep an eye on that. That may try to graze Denton and some of the burbs north of Dallas Tuesday night. And also notice thunderstorms kicked off in the Panhandle could rumble through Wichita Falls Tuesday evening. Not expecting anything too widespread. That fizzles out overnight. We go into Wednesday morning. We start pretty dry across the entire state. You can see where the rain is located. It's here, north and east, and we may see some scattered showers across the Red River Wednesday noon. Arklatex has the best chance for a thunder shower popping in the heat of the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, isolated showers out in West Texas in the mountains. Temperature-wise, 102 El Paso. This is Tuesday afternoon. Dallas 97, Lubbock 99. You get the idea. It's summer. We start with lows in the 70s to near 80 in the morning. That's 7 a.m. And then again, it's off for the races. Midland 100, El Paso 102. And not in the hundreds for Dallas and Houston and San Antonio, but the heat index will make it feel like it's over 100 for most spots across the Lone Star State. What changed? It's the weather pattern. Instead of a trough, we now have a ridge of high pressure building in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So think of that as a mountain of air, a sinking air. So that's heat. it zaps the rain chances. It pushes them off to the edge of the big circulation around that. So that's why you're getting these scattered showers that do pop Amarillo into Oklahoma, Red River to the Arklatex the next couple of afternoons. But that's about it for rain chances. And overall, looking a little further ahead, the 28th through the 2nd, drier than normal across most of the northern half of the state, wetter than normal across the northern plains. Quick update on the tropics. Quiet in the Gulf, nothing in the Carib, open Atlantic's asleep. No tropical development expected for the next 7 days. One of the big factors in this is the dust. Early season, we quite often get a bunch of dust coming off of Africa. That zaps hurricane production early in the season. But take a look. Going into Monday, early next week, Sunday, Monday, we may have some of that dust getting into Texas to give us some hazy, dusty skies. All right, Texas, that's where we stand.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Heartbreaking statements were made in court after a teenager pleaded guilty and was sentenced for killing a 15-year-old. Demarion Grant was found shot on the northeast side on October 10th of last year. Earl Stoudemire sat in on the hearing.
Week after week, the Grant family has showed up to the Bexar County Juvenile Justice Center behind me, demanding accountability from the teenager who took Tamarion's life. Today, that teenager got sentenced to 20 years for his actions.
There's no sentence that can restore what was lost, and there's no punishment that can bring back my baby. Tamarion was more than a victim in this case. He was a child. He was deeply loved. He mattered.
Tam Key says her grandson Tamarion was kind and had a big heart for his family and 5 younger siblings. Speaking after the 20-year sentence, Key says it'll never fix their family, now broken.
The pain of losing Tamarion is something we will carry for the rest of our lives. While this case is eventually coming to an end, our sentence is a lifetime.
On Friday, October 10th, Bexar County deputies found Gant lying on the ground at Woodlake Parkway and Lakeview Drive. He was shot in the upper body and rushed to the hospital, where he died from his injuries. Deputies say the shooter, who were not identifying due to his age, ran to a home half a mile away from the scene and was later detained. Tamarion's dad told the teenager his actions will never be forgotten.
We'll always carry this guilt, just like we'll carry this pain. As we turn our pain into strength, hopefully you turn your guilt into a rehabilitation method to help you strive in the near future.
When the teenager turns 19, a hearing will be held to determine if he can serve the rest of his sentence on probation or in an adult prison. At the Juvenile Justice Center, Earl Stoudemire, KENS 5.
2 months ago, a pair of explosions critically injured 5 people and destroyed 2 houses on one northeast side block. Now, City Council is reviewing policies and procedures to see what changes need to be made for critical incident management. Sue Kalberg has the latest.
Up front, they admitted there's a lot of questions they still can't answer because of the ongoing investigation.
Look, Preston Hollow, as I said, deserved better. There are so many unanswered questions as we sit here today.
Neighbors agreed.
We understand investigations take time, but we are 2 months out and nothing is really happening so far.
Houses don't blow up. There are safe havens, a place for rest, a place to relax and feel safe.
Everybody, either into your houses all the way to the block. Homeowners were told to go back inside their homes before the second explosion occurred. Why?
There were no answers to specific questions.
Who was supposed to be disseminating that information to the residents?
Again, with respect, Councilman, that's part of the NTSB investigation, so we can't speak to those specifics today.
The bottom line is that the wait for real answers will be a long one.
Do we have a timeline or not yet?
Well, we understand, Councilwoman, it could take 12 to 24 months.
The common themes: more transparency is better, and communication must improve. At City Hall, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
Bexar County is working to finalize how it wants to spend its $2.8 billion budget. As Rania Kaur reports, county officials say this year is especially important. County commissioners are weighing a projected shortfall in the next few years and asking for public input.
Right now, county officials say they will not be increasing the property taxes, though that's something that could happen in the future. County officials say it's important for people to get their input in because it's ultimately tax dollars that are being used to fund the budget. $2.8 billion needs to go to the sheriff's office, the jail, the court system, roads, and other important aspects that make the county function. The budget is really funded by property taxes, but with more property tax exemptions, the county says there's less money projected to be coming in. The budget and finance director for Bexar County says with the projected budget shortfall on the horizon, it's more important than ever for people to give their input.
Our priority is to maintain the expenses as best as we can and avoid cuts. Our last resort is to recommend a tax increase. So we have not recommended that, but again, that is an option for the court to consider in future budget years.
That input will be taken into consideration, but ultimately county commissioners will finalize the budget and decide where the money will go in September. The first budget town hall is this Wednesday. Details are on our website, KENS5.com. Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
Calls to cancel Kanye West's planned Alamo Dome concert are growing louder. The mayor, county leaders, and other elected officials are speaking out against the rapper's history of anti-Semitic comments. It's those comments that led to the cancellation of several concerts in Europe. KENS 5 reporter Simone Simpson has the latest on the debate over the concert and its potential impact on San Antonio.
An Alamo Dome spokesperson told me the Kanye West concert is still on despite local leaders strongly opposing it. Judging from what the spokesperson told me about ticket sales, this is set to be a major concert. Saturday, Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones posted on X supporting the cancellation of Kanye West's concert, saying Military City, USA shouldn't be hosting someone with a history of anti-Semitic comments in, quote, a city-funded facility like our Alamo Dome, not ever and certainly not on July 4th, our nation's 250th birthday. It was a sentiment shared by other local leaders like Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai, who said hateful words and actions should be called out, and Precinct 3 Commissioner Grant Moody saying, quote, when someone repeatedly spreads anti-Semitic hate, praises Nazis, denies the Holocaust, and tries to intimidate our Jewish community, we have a responsibility to call it out directly and forcefully, and I am. District 1 Councilwoman Sue Kaur.
The mayor wants to cancel the concert, and at this time, I believe that's a slippery slope for censorship.
Councilwoman Kaur says she doesn't support his hateful speech, but says there's an opportunity for the city to benefit from the rapper's visit.
There's over $9 million of ticket sales that have already occurred. The hotel bookings have increased by 22%. For that weekend after his concert was announced.
She says a significant amount of people are coming from outside of Bexar County to attend the July 4th concert.
There is a following that wants to see him, and it's going to help our small businesses here that need the support during the summer months when oftentimes because of the heat here, we don't get as much traction.
For now, the show will be going on. Reporting for KENS 5, I'm Simone Simpson.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Southeast Texas drying out after a day of downpours flooded streets, yards, and even some homes. Nearly 10 inches fell in some parts Sunday morning. Taking a look here at some of that flooding. This is video taken by our 12 News crew in Bridge City. You can see that water covering streets near homes, with some roads blocked off because of the high water. Tow trucks, they were out there pulling stalled cars out of the flooding. Some families in the Bridge City, they spent the night elsewhere as their homes dried out. Brittany Frank, she sent us this video from her home on Sunday, and she says that this was nothing like nothing she could do to keep the water from getting inside her home. Well, from the streets to the homes, city workers telling our 12 News reporter Cameron Burchett that the water, it was relentless, and one homeowner in Grove says that she's still working to clean out and dry out.
An unexpected downpour of rain brought 10 inches to Groves in a span of hours. For homeowner Debbie Burke, it was something she woke up to.
My neighbor called me and asked me if I was okay, and I said, yeah. He woke me up. I said, yeah, and he said, do you have water in your house? I said, I don't know, let me check. And I stepped stepped out of bed and stepped right into water, a big puddle of water. I said, yeah. I have water in my house.
She has lived in her Groves home for 5 years and says she's never had an issue with flooding in the past.
So hallway was ankle deep. That was flooded too. It's all up underneath there and inside the closet.
And when she stepped outside, it wasn't any better.
When I went to the end of my driveway, it was almost to my knees.
City officials say the flooding caught everyone off guard.
Well, first of all, this was not anything that was expected. We did not receive a National Weather Service briefing on it.
City Manager Kevin Carruth says crews were deployed early Sunday morning with Public Works, fire, police, and volunteers working to help residents and clear drainage areas.
It was all hands on deck from about 6 a.m. until around 11 o'clock or noon.
He says the city received between 7 and 10 inches of rain in about 3 hours.
So it's a rather extraordinary amount of rain to fall that much, that quickly, and that's going to overwhelm pretty much any drainage facilities that you have.
For Burke, she's thankful her losses can be replaced.
One saving grace is I have flood insurance, so that's very important to have, especially in this area.
The Grove City Manager says public work crews will be out and about clearing culverts and drainage channels tomorrow and Tuesday. He says if you need a crew to come out, to just give the city a call. In Groves, Cameron Burchett, 12 News.
Several viewers sent us images of Sunday's flooding in Groves, and this one's from John Sturman, who says that the high water sign going south on Taft Road there, it needs to be fixed because it wasn't registering all the water out there. There's another picture here from Edward Hemingway. It shows flooding along Garfield Avenue in Groves, and another one here from Christina Ann Forrest on Taft Avenue, and you can see some street flooding that goes into residents' front yards and driveways. Also in Groves, resident Kyle Hollier, he posted this video to Facebook. It shows the Crane Bayou ditch behind his home off of 25th Street. He said that he's been reporting damage in this ditch to Jefferson County Drainage District 7 for years now. Hollier says that erosion has caused parts of that ditch to cave in, and now he's concerned about the nearly 300 homes in the area in his neighborhood. He says that the damage, it's even affected his own property, leading to the concrete around his home to sink at least 12 to 18 inches. Hollier says that he reached out to DD7, but was told that this was just a cosmetic issue.
And he told me, we're not going to do anything. That's a cosmetic issue, and we have other things to worry about. I'm hoping that they come out and fix the ditch, fix the breaking concrete ditch that's caving in.
DD7 General Manager Alan Sims, he took to Facebook to update people on the pumping system there with DD7 during this big rainstorm. He said that it became overwhelmed after 6 inches of rain in an hour. Now he wrote, quote, that the pumps, they were operated as soon as there was water available at the stations to pump, and that's because the area is so flat that it takes about 30 minutes to an hour for the first raindrop to actually reach the pumps. He says, we live here and we don't want our properties or yours to flood. And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. A Little Miss kickball coach and board member is facing child grooming and online solicitation charges. Investigators say 38-year-old Harry Wallace Grabowski exchanged messages with a 14-year-old girl over several months. This case came to light after her parents discovered the communication and contacted Corpus Christi police. Our Bill Churchwell looked into the probable cause statement that reveals shocking details about what led up to the arrest.
According to court records, investigators learned Grabowski allegedly sent the girl $200 through Cash App in November of 2025. During interviews, the girl's family told detectives the money was returned, with the victim stating that the money was given to her for, quote, shopping. When Grabowski was asked about it, he stated it was for kicking home runs during a kickball game, but the affidavit noted it was not kickball season when he sent it. It was also learned Grabowski allegedly told the teen he was divorcing his wife and he couldn't wait until she was 18 years old. There was also a number of exchanges through social media, including a GIF through Instagram that displays the words "cheer up sexy" with a boomerang picture of the offender sticking out his tongue in a sexual manner. There were other sexually explicit messages noted in the affidavit.
Talk to your kids.
In light of this case, I reached out to Maria Perez, who is an independent social media manager with MP Designs. She helps people safeguard their social media presence. She's also a parent. She says when it comes to teens online, communication is always key.
If your child is comfortable to go to you and say something looks weird or they're concerned about something, that means everything, right? So the fact that someone can say, hey mom, I got this message, I'm not too sure about it, or hey, you know, I saw this online and it made me feel a certain way, like that foundation, again, is great to build upon, because then what happens when something more serious happens is immediately they're gonna go to you.
She says have an open line of communication, listen before you respond to your teen, and knowing what social media they are on is important.
So if they're on Facebook, you need to get on Facebook too and figure out how to use it. If they're on TikTok, sorry, you're 45 and now you're on TikTok too. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and that's so detrimental, no matter what it is, especially with social media.
After recovering from a devastating fire, Marker 37 Marina is welcoming boaters back for one of its busiest times of the year. With summer traffic picking up across the Coastal Bend's waterways, the marina's owner is also using the opportunity to remind visitors about the importance of boating safety. Ryan Hopper has more.
For Steve Goldberg, the images from the early morning hours of February 23rd are still hard to shake. He remembers the flames and the firefighters who fought to save his marina.
The firefighter here on the mural is pointed where the fire was. Captain Brandon Wade was the first one on site. He showed me a video, bring you to tears. You see all the station numbers over here that were out here that saved Snoopies, saved Scoopies.
Less than 4 months later, Marker 37 is back on its feet, welcoming the summer crowd.
I guess you can call it dock and dine right from the time people come. You know, we've got 70 guides that fish out of here on a regular basis.
Like Kevin Godsey, who says his clientele is pretty consistent.
Every weekend it seems like I get half the family is with the dad and a couple of the kids fishing with me, and then you got mom and the grandparents. They're all on the beach.
So if you're in the fishing half, think safety first, especially with kids 12 and under.
Let's make sure we've got the life jackets on. Do you have enough life jackets? Are they easy to get to?
Which, by the way, is required by the Coast Guard. And the guides here, all Coast Guard certified.
Our guide here is awesome, safety's first. And we've come back and used Cody so many times. We've already got another trip planned for this in July.
They know our waters better than most, so if you're going without one, watch for those beacons.
If you're not used to being out here, look at your maps, look at your depth, and stay in the navigational beacons. Maybe roll a little bit slower in areas that you don't know. We have a lot of obstacles out here.
But with proper planning, none should be an obstacle to a fun time with family.
And that's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin. Austin police have arrested 2 suspects in connection to a deadly shooting on Riverside Drive in southeast Austin last week. Israel Medina and David Perez are both facing charges. Investigators say Medina shot and killed Jose Salgado Amador in an AutoZone parking lot last Monday. Police say Salgado Amador was working as a mechanic in the parking lot when he was confronted and shot. Medina is facing a capital murder charge. Perez is facing an aggravated robbery charge. In other news, one of 3 suspects linked to a string of shootings across the Austin area in mid-May now faces a terrorism charge. Court records show prosecutors filed that charge against 17-year-old Christian Mondragon on Monday. We're still working to get our hands on an affidavit to see exactly why he's facing this charge. Mondragon already faces 19 other charges connected to the crime spree. A person who was hit by a train Monday in Austin is expected to survive. Austin police got a call about a train that hit a person near Duval Road, northwest of Mopac, at about 3:30 in the morning. Union Pacific officials tell us that person was trespassing on the railroad tracks. Police didn't say anything about how badly the person was injured. A spokesperson for Union Pacific tells us their crew was not hurt. Williamson County has been one of the fastest growing places in the country for years, and officials say they've outgrown their offices in the county courthouse. KVUE's Adam Bennett gives us an inside look at the $90 million project that's bringing a larger, more modern one-stop shop space to Williamson County.
Since 1911, this historic courthouse in downtown Georgetown has housed Williamson County Commissioner's Court and other county offices. Now they're moving out and moving into this new administrative building on Southeast Interloop at Southwestern Boulevard.
So this is all motor vehicle. They're all unpacking their things.
County officials led a media tour on Monday.
Okay, are you ready?
This larger, more modern building will hold at least 10 county departments.
Oh, terribly, terribly.
Nancy Reister has served as county clerk since 1998.
When it rained, I had to go to the courthouse and make sure that the water wasn't coming out of the drains.
Reister says this new building now lets her team house decades of documents under one roof.
It's all about trying to make it convenient and efficient.
One of the new features here, these drive-through lanes for the tax office. You can pull right up here, skip the line inside, talk to somebody on these video screens, and get right what you need sent through these tubes directly to your window.
They have a really big delivery system, so they're able to handle the plates going through here.
Upstairs, the new commissioner's courtroom can hold nearly double the people from before. It also has more cameras and angles for people watching from home.
So it's really going to be multifunctional, much more than the benches that we currently have now in the commissioner's courtroom.
Other parts, like the treasurer's area, are badge access only.
It was a great, historic, wonderful office over there on the square, but security was not exactly top notch.
So what's next for the old square space? Maintenance, then conversations with county departments and the nearby Williamson Museum to see who needs this room to grow here, along with this growing county. In Georgetown, Adam Bennett, KVUE News.
Cap Metro's police department has 4 new officers. They were sworn in Monday afternoon. Cap Metro officials say they now have 22 people working for the Transit Police Department, which includes 19 sworn officers. Cap Metro's CEO says since the police department launched this past year, they've worked to recruit and retain officers who are focused on safety, service, and community engagement.
Today, when we first began creating the police department, we knew it was going to take some time because we knew we were going to be a small but mighty force and we needed to take the time to do it right. We wanted to make sure we had the right people doing the job. And today, with your swearing in, we continue seeing that vision become a reality.
Cap Metro's board of directors first approved creating the police department back in 2021. The first officers were sworn in last summer. Leaders at Southwestern University in Georgetown are planning to build a 560-acre mixed-use development right next to the campus. Georgetown officials recently confirmed the city will be the first tenant in the development, building a new customer service center there starting this September. Phase 1 of the project will include offices, a hotel, an entertainment venue with parks, and more than 100 homes. University leaders say the project is designed to connect students with the community and local businesses. Construction kicks off later this year. For the past 20 years, the Jennifer Wilkes Foundation has been delivering meals to children battling cancer and their families. KVUE's Darrenisha Heron introduces us to the couple behind the foundation.
Who's hungry? Hey, whoop whoop. There you go.
Hello, my name's Tim Wilkes, and this is my wife,
Mary Wilkes.
and we are the founders of the Jennifer Wilkes Foundation.
Enjoy. All right. Hope everything goes well, and anything we can do for you. We're every Wednesday we serve a meal here. So next week will be Firehouse Sub, and the week after that will be Chick-fil-A. But by then you should be out of here. Yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal.
30,000 meals that we have served at Dell Children's Hospital over the last 19 years. And Mary and some volunteers are a big part of doing that.
To help lighten their load, to make things easier for them, or to guide them in some way if we can.
We spent 3 Christmases in the hospital, so we knew exactly what those families are going through. And our daughter Jennifer was diagnosed with AML at the age of 14, acute myeloid leukemia. Got the call one day, I was in my office and said to get to the hospital and your daughter has cancer. It's the scariest moment of my life at that point. She spent over 350 days in the hospital.
It's rough after a while. She got tired of the hospital food and just wanted other things to eat. And the His Grace Foundation used to let them order treats or snacks. And she would get the double stuffed Oreos.
Jennifer would just, was just so appreciative of things that was going on. And if you ever met Jennifer, Jennifer had a smile that just light up a room. And Jennifer always said, Dad, when I get done with this, I want to be able to help kids. I want to be able to help families. I really want to make a difference. She spent almost 28 days on a respirator. Her lungs gave out. She was 17 when she passed away, November 25th in 2005. Worst day of my life. We told herself, but man, let's give back. Let's do something to help the children, the families, what Jennifer wanted to do. So we turned around, we started the foundation, and that next year we put on our first annual golf tournament, April of 2006. Had 85 golfers show up, and it started from there. We've now helped grant over 60 Make-A-Wishes of all the children here in the Austin area. Every dollar we make goes back and help the families. Nobody on our foundation or board takes a salary.
Thanks to KVU's Darrenisha Heron for putting that story together for us. And that's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A debate over IVF is putting some Texans on different sides of the issue. During the GOP convention in Houston, delegates approved a non-binding party platform that calls for protecting fetal life from what it describes as destructive practices, including IVF and commercial surrogacy. Our Julietta Jackson explains.
Republican delegates approved a non-binding party platform that calls for protecting fetal life from what it describes as destructive practices, including IVF and commercial surrogacy, a debate that took center stage at the Texas GOP convention.
There are women who desire to have their own children, and IVF should remain that option.
Supporters say IVF helps couples struggling with infertility build families.
My son, Samuel Morris Garner, as a profound blessing, not a destructive practice. Language like this creates ambiguity.
But other people say their concerns aren't about children born through IVF. They argue their focus is on embryos that may be frozen or discarded.
We all affirm that they all are worthy of protection, but so many of the IVF practices are destructive.
IVF is wicked. It needs to be abolished.
The debate is putting party activists at odds with many of Texas's top Republicans. Attorney General Ken Paxton recently said he's a strong supporter of IVF. Governor Greg Abbott, Senator Ted Cruz, and even President Donald Trump have also backed access to the procedure.
Many pro-life and pro-family Texans have children that came into this world through IVF.
Medical research shows IVF now accounts for an estimated 2 to 5% of births worldwide. The party platform is non-binding, meaning it doesn't create new law, but it does provide a roadmap for what some people would like to see lawmakers consider in the future.
We all want to protect innocent life.
Well, many Texas lawmakers have also said an IVF ban is not currently under consideration. Meantime, Monday marked the deadline for the Temple Mall's owners to fix a long list of fire and life safety violations or face a indefinite closure. The city of Temple issued a 30-day compliance notice last month after inspectors found a series of fire and life safety problems, including inoperable fire pumps, disabled sprinkler systems, faulty fire alarms, electrical hazards, and exit safety concerns. This isn't the first time the mall has faced trouble. In September of 2024, the city closed the property after fire code violations weren't corrected by a deadline. The mall later reopened after repairs were made. Well, now tenants and customers are once again waiting for answers. Here's what one customer had to say when she went to the mall.
It feels empty, but
Not like you used to in the jewelry store and all that was in there, every store. My favorite store, the shoes, where I get my shoes everywhere. But I still come here to eat. Or when I want to go grab me something on my way back to Cameron to eat out.
Well, tenants have previously told 6 News that they are frustrated that long-standing issues have not been addressed and say they are hoping ownership can still find a way forward. City officials say any additional enforcement action will depend on inspection results from Monday, whether those safety issues have been corrected. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A community event meant to bring families together in Jacksonville ended in gunfire Sunday night, leaving 3 men injured. Now, as police investigate that shooting and another reported less than an hour later at a nearby gas station, community leaders across East Texas are calling for action to help stop the violence. CBS 19's Natalie Carrillo has the story.
What started as a day of family fun at Jacksonville's Lincoln Park ended with police tape and an active investigation.
We heard probably 2 gunshots, probably more than 2, but everybody got trying to, run to their cars and stuff, trying to get away safely.
Police say 3 men were shot around 9:30 Sunday night, just as Gary Menifee's Sunday Fun Day event was coming to an end.
They hurt me. They really did hurt me. Whoever did it, they really hurt me. I put so much into it. The people that helped me do this event, we worked too hard. We worked too hard for one individual to ruin it.
The shootings come as community leaders in Tyler prepare for a Peace Starts Here event aimed at addressing violence across East Texas.
While the Stop the Violence March is in Tyler, we certainly hope the message reaches out to all the other communities as well.
For organizer Taylor Attaway, the mission is personal. His brother Harley Morris has been missing for 2 years. He says his family's experience, along with other families impacted by violence, inspired him to get involved.
And show that we're stronger than this violence. Remind everyone what community is, what love is, and what neighborhood together for one cause looks like.
Event coordinator Kimberly Williams has also been working with the family of 5-year-old Josiah Williams, who was critically injured in a Tyler shooting last month.
This is such a necessity. Right now is the best time. And unfortunately, we had to have a 5-year-old to wake everyone up.
The Saturday event will feature a peace walk, community resources, food, and family activities.
We would want to walk for peace if they were here, so we're going to carry them with us.
An East Texas family is honoring the memory of a father whose compassion didn't end with his death. Just months after Joel Mack was killed by an intoxicated wrong-way driver, his final act of generosity is giving others a second chance at life. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shares how his children are keeping his legacy alive.
To his patients, Joel Mack was a compassionate nurse practitioner. To his coworkers, he was the one who can make anyone laugh. But to his children, he was their safe place, their biggest cheerleader, and the person they can always count on.
He was the first person I called for anything big happening in my life. He was the first one that I'd call.
A few months ago, the 57-year-old was driving home from an overnight shift when investigators say an intoxicated wrong-way driver crashed into his vehicle on Highway 259 near Diana. Joel Mack did not survive, but because he chose to be an organ donor, his story did not end there.
I think that potentially one day down the road, those recipients would probably love the opportunity to say thank you to Joel's family.
A family that, while still grieving, is grateful for the memories they share. And as Father's Day arrives, his children say the grief is still fresh.
And it's so soon after the accident. So I just think I'm going to try and use that day to spend time doing things that he loved.
As his memory lives on, his children say that humor and kindness weren't just a part of his job. They were who he was.
And he was talking to you. You were the center of attention. You were the subject. He never made it about himself, and you felt like you were important in the conversation.
Now, even in their heartbreak, they hope others remember not only how Joel died, but how he lived, and how through the gift of organ donation, he continues to save lives every single day.
I would love to hold his hand again or hug him one more time.
And that's really hard to think that that's taken away from you so quickly.
Said goodbye to him way too early. I cherish the time that I had with him.
In Texarkana, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. We have body cam video showing what deputies are calling an ambush on law enforcement officers. And we want to warn you, this video is graphic. It happened Friday night at an apartment complex in Humble when Harris County Precinct 4 constables responded to reports of a man firing a rifle. When they got there, two deputy constables were hit by gunfire. Thankfully, both of them are okay, and the suspected gunman now in custody. But not before this wild shootout. Here's Megan Reyna.
What started as random gunfire at this Humble apartment complex ended in 2 deputy constables being shot. Today, Constable Mark Herman with Precinct 4 chose to release new body camera video to show just how dangerous the job can be. A warning, the video is graphic, but both of the injured deputies are okay. This is the moment Mark Herman says his deputy constable Dante Zapata was shot multiple times from a gunman inside a unit at the Pavilion at the Groves apartment complex.
This is real life for us. This is what we deal with all the time.
Moments later, he is seen grabbing his bleeding wrist.
My wrist. Stop the bleeding, stop the bleeding.
Another deputy is seen working to apply a tourniquet.
Our deputies on that scene probably saved his life.
As this is all taking place, the other responding deputies started firing back at the suspect, now identified as 38-year-old Edgar Villegas.
I think we gave him 40 to 50 times more lead than he gave us, and the only reason we stopped is we ran out of bullets at the time.
However, Villegas was not hit by any of the gunfire. He ended up barricading himself inside his apartment and was eventually arrested with the help of a canine. As far as what led up to all of this chaos, a Ring video captures Villegas acting erratic and firing off a shot towards his neighbor's door.
Do you know the circumstances surrounding why the suspect even started firing off shots to begin with?
That is all still being looked at under investigation. He was very uncooperative with us that night, to the point where the hospital ended up having to sedate him.
Villegas is still in the hospital as of Tuesday night, but will eventually be booked into the Harris County Jail to face an aggravated assault on a peace officer charge.
These videos depict what the men and women in law enforcement go through every day. It's a dangerous job.
Fortunately, when this all took place, the woman whose door was initially shot at was not home, and the other injured deputy was able to be treated at the scene and is now back on the job. Reporting from Humble, Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
Just miraculous outcome there. Harris County Sheriff's deputies say they found no evidence of a mechanical failure in a Tesla that crashed into a Katy home, killing a 76-year-old grandmother Friday night. The driver telling investigators the car's automated driver assist system was activated at the time of the crash, but Tesla CEO Elon Musk disputing that, posting online saying, doesn't make sense based on how the technology operates on neighborhood streets, and describing this incident as a high-speed crash. Investigators say the case remains active. No charges have been filed. That could change as this investigation continues, and we do understand the family now planning a lawsuit. Another twist in the case of a former Houston police officer who was fired after posting a racist rant on social media. The DA's office confirming to KHOU 11 it has filed 75 Brady notices for cases the officer was involved in. A Brady notice lets defense attorneys know an officer's credibility or conduct is being called into question in said cases. Back in April, Gonzalez posted video filled with racial slurs and suggested she would not treat black people fairly during future arrests. She was fired, and the DA's office started reviewing her cases to determine whether racial bias ever played a role in her duties. That review is underway, and prosecutors say more Brady notices could be filed. The World Cup is bringing big business to Houston. We've shown you the fans and the festivities. Now you're going to meet a local vendor cashing in on the crowds at FanFest. Michelle Choi talks to an entrepreneur whose handcrafted business is having a World Cup moment.
Come and get your ice cold pops. We're the best in Tejas.
At Houston's FanFest, keeping cool is part of the game. And for Celso Trejo, better known as El Paleta Patron, the popsicle boss, business is booming.
We got a private stash.
Trejo is the owner and founder of Hot Rod Pops, the Houston-born Mexican popsicle business, serving up oversized paletas with plenty of personality.
Our famous Big Tex Pops. Check it out, y'all. What's up? Y'all seen these paletas?
The popsicles are simple but unique.
It's just straight fruit, Mexican cane sugar, and water. That's it.
What makes this business stand out? Almost everything here was built by hand.
We've been making them and selling them from our custom-built bikes and push carts. I built all those myself. What you're standing in now is the bus I built in the driveway.
His love for building started young.
I've always worked on cars as a kid. My dad would take me to the auction, teach me how to flip cars and work on them, and now I'm flipping popsicles.
Now he's bringing those vintage hot rod vibes to one of the biggest stages in the world, selling nearly 2,000 popsicles a day. Of course, I had to try one for myself.
What they say, everything's bigger in
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Definitely during World Cup Houston.
And yes, it definitely got my approval. And despite weather delays and long hours, he says being part of this moment means everything.
Yeah, World Cup, I mean, to be in Houston is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I'm glad I get to be a part of it.
In Houston's Easton, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
That is the perfect treat for this hot weather. Here's a first. How about a World Cup proposal? One of our viewers sending us video of her daughter being proposed to during last week's Portugal-Congo match here in Houston. There they are. She said yes. The crowd joined in to celebrate the newly engaged couple. They're chanting, "Kiss, kiss." The couple, that's Diego and Diana, both big soccer fans, actually met while playing against each other. So a World Cup proposal was a pretty perfect match. Congratulations to the happy couple. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Cynthia Aguirre with your headlines from North Texas. 8 people will spend decades behind bars in connection to last summer's shooting that seriously wounded a police officer. It happened on the 4th of July outside the Prairie Land Detention Center in Alvarado. Richard Solomon explains the reason behind the lengthy sentences and how defendants are reacting.
So we now know how much time several people who are charged in that Prairie Land ICE Detention Center attack from last year will serve behind bars. And tonight, we're hearing from attorneys and also family. One by one, the defendants learn their fate.
The government wants to take her entire life away.
And outside the courthouse, supporters and family of the 8 people charged in the Prairie Land ICE Detention Center attack say the outcome felt like another chapter in a case they say has been misunderstood from the beginning.
It has been publicized by the administration. I think they made this out to be something that it wasn't.
Combined, the 8 defendants were sentenced to 450 years in federal prison for their roles in the July 2025 attack outside the detention center in Alvarado after a protest turned violent.
Hey, stop!
The group's leader, Benjamin Song, was sentenced to 100 years in prison. He was found guilty of attempted murder for shooting and injuring an officer. His mother shared these written words from him.
This is mass punishment. This is collective punishment. This is guilt by association. This is injustice.
Supporters say the group planned to shoot off fireworks and show support for detainees.
This was an egregious attack on federal and local law enforcement officers.
But prosecutors labeled the incident as domestic terrorism, alleging Antifa operatives planned and carried out the attack to target ICE agents.
It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers.
The sentences now close a chapter in a case that has drawn national attention for nearly a year. In Fort Worth, I'm Richard Solomon.
A frustrated rancher in Henderson County is warning others about a potential data center's impact before it's too late.
There's got to be some limits and there's got to be some consideration
for where they are putting in these data centers. I'd like for them to pick up the phone and give us a call and tell us what's going on.
Luke Clary spoke with her. The data center would be located right by Cedar Creek Lake near her decades-old cattle and wine ranch.
On a 70-acre ranch in Henderson County, the warning bell sounds close to home. Now Michelle Anderson raises Texas Longhorns at Triple N Ranch and says what may be built across the road could change life here.
It's going to affect their reproduction. It's going to affect, their water.
A Kansas company called Diode Ventures wants to build a data center on more than 700 acres. It didn't respond to our request for comment. The site just outside Anderson's front gate.
Since they're directly across the street, I'd like for them to pick up the phone and give us a call and tell us what's going on.
Opponents say the facility could need as much as 5 million gallons of water a day from nearby Cedar Creek Lake. Along the shoreline, you'll see lake houses and boat docks, but the people living here who oppose this proposed data center say the water isn't just for them. It's a reservoir owned by the Tarrant Regional Water District, the same system that helps supply Fort Worth. The debate has now reached the state capitol. Lawmakers in Austin are asking the same question. How much water should data centers get?
If you think about something as precious as water, we have to know what you're going to consume.
We agree this is a critical planning time.
Triple N Ranch also produces Texas wine. Water shapes more than the pasture here.
There's got to be some limits and there's got to be some consideration for where they are putting in these data centers.
Anderson worries a project built to power the internet could put new pressure on a Texas way of life. In Henderson County, I'm Luke Clary.
New questions are surfacing about the Oak Cliff apartment explosion that killed 3 people. A victim's family filed a lawsuit against Atmos Energy. They claim the company incorrectly marked gas lines before a company started drilling nearby. Cole Sullivan shows us the judge's decision and a new response from Atmos.
Do we check this house for anybody yet?
The result is easy to see. A massive explosion and 5-alarm fire at an apartment building in Oak Cliff that killed 3 people.
Sylvia Collins was my friend and she burned alive, and it was completely preventable.
Attorney Chris Hamilton told us why.
This property had 6 reported leaks in the 2 months before.
6 calls for leaks at the same building that blew up last month. And before it did, he says drilling crews called 811 to get the gas lines marked. Only he says they were marked at the wrong place. Wrong by 15 feet or more.
There was no way that this driller could possibly know there was a pipeline here. He drilled exactly where he was supposed to.
Now he's suing Atmos Energy and says they were negligent. He just won a court victory to force them to tell him if they replace any pipes within 1,000 feet of this explosion so he can see if they're orange, which he says means they're old.
What the orange indicates just at a glance is you're dealing with an early generation of pipe that is all associated with various design defects.
Atmos says in a statement, the safety of our communities and employees is our first priority. Our hearts go out to the people who were lost, their families, and everyone who has been impacted. The company says the driller, who was not working for Atmos, was the one that hit the pipe. Atmos says it was not the type of orange pipe Hamilton warns about, and that the company hired a third party to mark those gas lines. In Dallas, I'm Cole Sullivan.
What should Texas students learn about history, religion, and culture in the classroom? That question sparked hours of passionate debate at the state capitol as the State Board of Education considers major changes to classroom curriculum. Adriana de Alba has reaction from both sides.
A debate over Texas classrooms played out inside the state capitol Monday.
It is also an inherently divisive act.
The State Board of Education heard hours of testimony ahead of 2 major votes this week. One would rewrite social studies lessons. The other would approve a state reading list that includes Christian Bible stories for public school students. Supporters say the changes provide important historical context.
God will use it
for good. Restoring this in public schools is key to understanding our history and government.
Opponents see it differently.
That's not education, that's indoctrination.
They argue the proposals place too much emphasis on a single religious viewpoint.
It's very clear that these lists are intended to push a politically and ideologically motivated narrow worldview on my children.
Education experts also raised concern.
This is introducing all sorts of problems and trouble into our public schools.
UT Austin education leadership and policy professor David DeMatthews questions how the material would be taught in the classroom.
Whose version of the Bible are you bringing in? What is the interpretation? Are teachers even prepared to teach this content?
The proposals come as Texas continues to shape what more than 5 million public school students learn.
These traditions are essential for understanding, upholding, and at times defending Western civilization.
The proposed reading list overwhelmingly represents a politically conservative worldview.
The State Board of Education is expected to take its final votes Friday. Decisions that could redefine how Texas students learn and understand history for years to come. In Tarrant County, I'm Adriana D'Alba.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
All right, Texas, for the foreseeable future, it will be this dome of high pressure, this weather pattern in the upper levels that will dominate Texas weather. And overall, it means hot and dry. Oh, and the humidity for the eastern half of the state as well will continue to build in. The heat dome dominates Texas on Wednesday. It's centered in West Texas, so temperatures will be hottest out here. I think this is where we see triple digits. We'll look at that in just a second. Something else that it's doing Wednesday and Thursday as it's pushing the rain chances further away. Rain is forming on the outer edge of the heat dome, but underneath it, we've got sinking air, and it makes it very difficult for any rain to develop. So as we look at rainfall forecasts, this is future radar going into Wednesday afternoon, not much. An isolated shower, very isolated, West Texas, and then perhaps a couple of scattered showers near the Arklatex tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon. But that's it. Going into Wednesday evening, could be a thunderstorm rolling into Oklahoma, again toward the Arklatex. Couple of showers on the dry line, which sets up in eastern New Mexico. You never know, some of that's going to get into far west Texas in the Panhandle, but it doesn't look likely. That fizzles out before it gets to Lubbock. Thursday morning, quiet across the state. No rain really in sight. It's all pushed off to the edge of the ring around that dome of high pressure, which will be firmly underneath. Again, Thursday afternoon, an isolated shower in the mountains as possible. Otherwise, the rest of the state is dry. There's your edge of the ring of fire around that dome of high pressure. And so where it's centered, you'll get the hottest temperatures. So 99 Midland, El Paso, 103 Wednesday afternoon. Central and East Texas, mid to upper 90s, but we avoid the triple digits. Do it again on Thursday as the center of the dome is here. So Midland, Lubbock, El Paso, the hottest temps in the state. Still hot, but not quite as hot out on the edge of the dome where we're not quite under the center of it. Tropics. So they are quiet. Nothing in the Gulf, nothing in the Carib, nothing in the open Atlantic. Hurricane Center says no new tropical development expected anywhere in here for the next 7 days. We will just continue to take it one day at a time. Make sure you're getting a tropical update once a day, just so nobody gets caught off guard. One of the big reasons why we don't expect any development the next week is the dust, which is just pouring off of the Sahara Desert. This is where the dust is Tuesday afternoon, but it will stay very thick Wednesday, Thursday as it blows across the main development region, across the Carib. Already have some in the Gulf. That's Friday. We go into Saturday, Sunday. Look at this. So going into Sunday, Monday, it will be from Austin, San Antonio, the edge, the I-35 corridor east, where a plume of Saharan dust moves in. This should make skies very hazy, and it may interfere with air quality a little bit. It usually doesn't do a whole lot to air quality, but you can notice it if you're sensitive to the dust. This is going into Sunday and Monday. The eastern quarter of Texas, Houston down to Brownsville, may get the hazy skies from the Saharan dust moving in. That's where we stand, Texas.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. With less than 2 weeks until Kanye West's scheduled 4th of July concert, some community and faith leaders are urging the city to deny use of the Alamo Dome over the rapper's history of anti-Semitic comments. Bella Papaduke explains where things stand.
Pressure is mounting on San Antonio leaders as Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is set to perform at the Alamo Dome next month. I'm at the Holocaust Memorial Museum, where San Antonio's Jewish community is raising concerns about the concert in light of Ye's anti-Semitic remarks. But others say canceling the concert is setting a precedent of censorship.
When our city was presented with the opportunity to host Ye, we had a choice. We faced a choice between our values and financial gain.
Members of San Antonio's Jewish community are urging city leaders to take a stand.
I represent a large portion of the Jewish community here in Bexar County, and it's a moral issue for me.
On Tuesday, the Jewish Federation of San Antonio joined Bexar County Commissioner Grant Moody, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones, and other community leaders in opposing the concert at a tax-supported venue. The concerns stem from Ye's history of anti-Semitic comments and controversies.
I push back on the assertion that this concert should be viewed in the same way as Disney on Ice or big trucks. Those are different things.
But not every elected leader agrees that the city should intervene. 6 San Antonio City Council members representing Districts 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, and 10 released a joint statement condemning anti-Semitism and hate while also opposing any effort to block the performance. They argue canceling the show could create a dangerous precedent for limiting free expression. But Commissioner Moody says this isn't about censorship.
You talk about private venues and you talk about these public venues that are county-owned, city-owned, city-subsidized by taxpayers. And I think that's where there has to be a process in place that, screens these acts.
He says the real question is whether publicly owned facilities and taxpayer resources should be used to host someone who is repeatedly engaged in hateful rhetoric. Mayor Ortiz-Jones says the city could only cancel the contract through a vote of the city council. And at this point, she says the votes are not there to make that happen. Right now, an Alamo Dome spokesperson says the concert is still on, and the city says it's expected to bring in around 60,000 people and nearly $2 million in revenue. In San Antonio, Bella Papaduke, KENS 5.
In Kerrville, hundreds of families displaced after last year's deadly floods now have a place to live. Millions of dollars have been granted for recovery efforts, and progress is starting to show. Simone Simpson has a story.
From flood loss to fresh starts, in less than a year, the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country has dispersed $82 million towards relief efforts for housing and community rebuilding. The Mariposa community is proof. Progress is visible.
Recovery becomes real when a family receives the keys to their new home and they walk through the front door for the first time and they begin to feel a sense of normalcy.
This development by the Habitat for Humanity provides affordable disaster recovery housing for families who lost their home in severe flooding. Wilbur Vance is a recipient of the Rebuild Kerr Housing Recovery Fund.
It's been a long haul.
He lost his home and one of his cars following the flood.
When it happens, I think it traumatizes you more than you realize, and you just have to work through it, be positive, try to be on top of things. And you just have to wait it out and see how everything falls in place. And then having the backup of support financially, a grant, things like that, helps out.
Would you say it's nicer than the house that y'all were in before?
Oh, yeah, that last one was a beer joint, almost. It was they did several add-ons to it, and I worked on it to improve it, but this one is way better.
Tuesday, we learned 130 families have returned to stable housing. More than 180 families have temporary housing with all expenses paid thanks to the Hill Country's Community Foundation.
When people have safe and a stable place to live, they can return to work. They can get their children back on routines. They can focus on their health again, their mental health, and begin rebuilding a normal life.
Recovery will take years, but Tuesday is proof that healing has already begun. Reporting from Kerrville, I'm Simone Simpson.
A vote on higher water bills may be on hold, but another increase could be coming your way. As David Lynch explained, San Antonio City staff are recommending a property tax hike to help close a major budget deficit.
Well, it's been 33 years since San Antonio last raised its property tax rate. And based on conversations at last week's meeting, several council members don't like the idea of that streak ending in 2027. But the city's budget staff warning them that without a property tax hike, they should prepare for widespread department cuts.
No one right now is taking this lightly.
City Council acknowledging the grim scenario facing them, a $157.7 million budget deficit by 2028. The reason?
Just generally, agnostically, our expenses are growing faster than revenues.
City staff recommending the council moves ahead with the tax hike that would increase the average homeowner's property tax bill by $81 a year.
It's unacceptable.
We're not supportive of the tax increase.
It's hard to commit here to supporting a property tax increase when we've just really done a numbers exercise.
Staff also saying the city can find much needed dollars by raising ambulance transport fees, creating an annual fee for library users who live outside city limits, and recuperating $1.4 million in city funds allocated for Fiesta over the next 2 years. Council was warned, however, that if they reject a property tax hike, it would take more than 130 current city employees losing their jobs to balance the budget.
They're going to be fired. Some of them are the only people in their household with an income.
Leaders asking staff to find out how much money can be created by focusing on unused property tax dollars, as well as more information on how their areas of the city could be specifically affected by cuts.
That information is expected to be shared after the city's budget team takes this feedback and spends its summer fine-tuning recommendations for a proposed budget to be presented in August. David Lynch, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Flooding, it impacted much of Southeast Texas Sunday, especially in the city of Groves. Heavy rainfall there caused ditches to overflow and water to enter some homes. 7 to 11 inches of rain fell in just 3 hours, leaving neighbors in parts of Groves to deal with the cleanup. 12 News reporter Spencer Plato, she explains what officials there are saying about the impacts on the city drainage system.
My wife said she was having PTSD.
Sunday afternoon's heavy rainfall brought flooding concerns to parts of Southeast Texas, especially on the southeast side of Groves.
We got woke up at 5 o'clock with the thunder and lightning, and it was just coming down, and it just would come down in buckets, and it wouldn't stop.
David Mulbert's house is the highest in his neighborhood, saving him from some of the flooding on Sunday. But for other residents, luck was not on their side, with some residents experiencing flooding in their garage.
The water line in my yard got halfway. They have water in their office garage, and I know they got it in their garages, both of them.
By Monday morning, the city was out clearing ditches and checking drainage systems as cleanup efforts got underway.
We have crews out going through and making sure that there's no debris that's collected in front of any drainage structures. And that's the primary thing that's being done today and probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday as well.
City Manager Kevin Carew says Groves received 7 to 11 inches of water in just 3 hours. And no matter what, no drainage system could have helped prevent the flooding completely.
So our system is built to handle 1 inch per hour. So that, a 50-year rain event will overwhelm pretty much any drainage system that you've got.
While city crews continue cleanup efforts, Mulbert says residents also have a role to play in preventing future flooding.
It's really up to the homeowners. If they see that culvert's plugged, they need to come out and unplug it instead of waiting on the city to do everything.
And during that flooding, Jefferson County Drainage District 7 says all of their pumps were working, but their system was overwhelmed by the extreme rainfall as well. 12 News reporter Ebony Coleman has that story.
What do we do? And
the simple fact that water is still an issue, drainage is still an issue.
Residents in Groves are cleaning up and drying off after the city received between 10 to 11 inches of rain Sunday morning, with 7 of those inches happening in just 1 hour.
My mom calls me. She's at the house because she has a key to get inside. There is water in the house.
Floodwater left homes and yards, including Mark Bullock's, soaked and damaged.
You got sheetrock, you got baseboards. We had a guy come out and check it out with a moisture meter, and he detected moisture throughout the entire house underneath the tile.
We spoke to DD7's general manager, Alan Sims, who says that much rain in a short amount of time was unexpected.
The forecast showed that we would probably get around a half inch to an inch. We had a lot of water dumped quickly in people's yard.
I'm here at pump station number 7 at Crane Bayou, and Mr. Sims tells me on Sunday all of these pumps in this room, all 6 of them, were running. The problem they ran into was how long it took the water to get from the neighborhoods to this pump station.
So it takes about 30 minutes to an hour for a raindrop to land in somebody's yard to get to a pump station where it can be pumped out.
Sims says he had crews manning the pumps at 4:30 that morning, but the pumps don't kick on unless there's water to be pumped out.
The pump is essentially a large diameter pipe with a propeller in the bottom that pushes the water up and out the side. We have 3 that are 75,000 gallons a minute, and we have 3 that are 215,000 gallons a minute. If you don't have the water to push through, the pump starts to vibrate and it tears up all the bearings.
He says another big issue was the amount of trash and toys that also flowed in from driveway culverts.
We are strictly charged with cleaning the large collector ditches. Basketball will plug a 15-inch pipe, and most culverts, driveway culverts, are 15 inches.
I've lived there since 2019. I have not seen them dig the ditches out at all.
Mark says he wants better coordination between the city and DD7 to prevent future flooding.
I'm glad that they're on point and they're handling their business, but we don't see it here. We don't see it in the city.
And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas. Recent rainfall has pushed the city of Corpus Christi's projected level 1 water emergency date from December of this year to September of 2027. But some city leaders say major projects aimed at meeting future demand cannot slow down. Our Michael Gibson reports on the deadlines and decisions that could shape the region's water future.
Even with recent rains providing a boost to our area reservoirs, Corpus Christi leaders say the search for new water supplies remains a top priority.
Just because you're getting rain, you don't stop. You continue forward with all the projects that you're doing.
One of the biggest projects on the table is the Evangeline Water Project.
We had 3 routes we were looking at: emergency permits, negotiation, and then a contested case hearing. We're feeling more optimistic about the direct negotiation track on this project moving forward.
While negotiations continue, city leaders are also keeping an eye on funding deadlines. Councilman Roland Barrera says Corpus Christi must stay on track to secure those Federal Bureau of Reclamation funding that would help offset project cost for the Inner Harbor Desalination Project.
There's a deadline for the Bureau of Reclamation grant, of which it could be a potential of, it's about $120 million for this particular cycle.
Councilman Barrera also told 3 News that the city could get $140 million next year as well if it meets the August 26 deadline this year.
Kicking that can down the road beyond their deadline, puts us at risk for losing out on that money.
Now, city leaders do agree that rains across South Texas and in the Lake Texana watershed have improved reservoir conditions and pushed back the city's projected critical water supply date to September of 2027. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
All right, thank you, Michael. For decades, the Rialto Theater was the place where families in 3 Rivers gathered to watch movies and make memories. As Bill Churchwell shows us, years after its closing, the historic building is once again taking center stage, one brushstroke at a time.
If you drive through 3 Rivers, chances are you'll pass the Rialto. For decades, people stopped here to watch movies. Now they're slowing down to watch something else. A massive mural honoring America's 250th birthday is taking shape above the marquee of this historic theater.
This Rialto's been something special to the town for all these years.
The city held a contest for local artists to design the mural. Out of 6 entries, one stood out above the rest.
This one was just amazing. It touched a little bit all around about Three Rivers with the animals, the water, kind of touched all aspects of the Three Rivers.
Created by Rebecca Gillette, this is what the finished piece will look like, right down to the alligator, a reflection of the city's rich history. Now artist Chance Havlick is bringing the design to life.
It's probably the biggest project I've worked on. So much more meaningful than just like a blank wall.
But for many people here, the mural isn't just about the future. It's about the building itself.
Oh, it's nice.
Step inside the Rialto, and it feels more like a time capsule than an empty theater.
You can just imagine all the movies that were viewed here in this theater back in the day, right there on the silver screen. So what a better fit than to have the mural right outside these doors.
Grandmother would give us a quarter.
At just 25 cents, Bobby Pena could buy a movie ticket, a drink, a popcorn, and still have a few pennies left over.
Was it black and white?
Yep. Elvis Presley. Love me tender.
Others remember school field trips and family nights.
We used to walk up here on Sundays and we would watch Spanish movies. A great memory. It was amazing, and we would come see the movie Bambi.
The theater has been closed since the pandemic, but city leaders hope this project will help write a new chapter.
The drawings, the detail is starting to come to life. It's just amazing what he's done. We're really, really excited for it.
Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
And that is a quick look at some of what's making news right here in South Texas.
In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. Williamson County health officials are reminding people to protect themselves after mosquitoes in the area tested positive for West Nile virus. The positive case came from a mosquito trap near Geneva Park in Georgetown. Health officials say one of the best ways to protect yourself is to remove standing water where mosquitoes can breed. They also recommend using insect repellent and wearing long sleeves, pants, and socks. Austin police need your help identifying a pair of shooting suspects. Investigators think they were involved in a shooting in North Austin last month. It happened at around 4:45 the morning of May 24th on Northgate Boulevard near Highway 183. Police say the 2 men were hurt and left the scene. If you recognize them, you're asked to give APD a call. The impact of Austin ISD's budget cuts is going beyond the classroom. The nonprofit Communities in Schools will no longer be able to provide services at 25 campuses next school year. KVUE's Brianna Perez shows us what these cuts could mean for students across the district.
For the past 40 years, Communities in Schools has connected students with support both inside and outside the classroom.
Before a student can learn how to do math and learn how to read, that they have to be well and healthy. And so that's where we come in.
From mental health support to mentoring and academic monitoring, leaders say it's been essential.
We come alongside families to make sure that the barriers that they might be facing in their community don't keep them from being successful in school.
But the district's newly approved budget reduces student support services, including CIS.
I can't lie, it was very disappointing, but we also know that this was an impossible decision that the trustees had to make.
Under Austin ISD's proposed 2026-27 budget, changes to this program would result in about $1 million in budget reductions. Just one of many cuts that Austin ISD leaders say were necessary to address the district's $181 million deficit. CIS leaders say school districts cover roughly 30% of costs. They also say more than 11,000 students will lose services next year, a concern echoed by parents like Giselle Valenzuela, who says she's seen the impact firsthand with her own son.
Suddenly, the walls were up. He was having disciplinary issues at home, disciplinary issues at school, when that wasn't really like a problem before. And, the folks at CIS, at Gus Garcia, just really kind of wrap their arms around him.
Valenzuela says she began to see gradual improvements after her son worked with CIS, which she says helped him build coping skills.
They just do so much to help kids to be able to focus on their academics, because there's just so much going on outside that just is a distraction from that.
While the decision will reduce Communities in Schools' footprint in Austin ISD, leaders say the organization isn't going away. They say it will continue serving students at 30 campuses across the district.
It does not change the tenacity that we're going to be advocating for our children. We will continue supporting the way we have been for the past 40 years.
And that was Brianna Perez reporting. CIS officials say they are currently working with Austin ISD to determine which campuses could lose access to these services, with a final decision expected by the end of the week. Back in March, Governor Greg Abbott created the Texas Jobs Council, and this week he gave state agencies instructions on how to help fill jobs in high-demand fields. That includes potentially lowering age requirements for certain apprenticeships and licensed trades, giving training to school counselors and advisors that focuses on high-demand jobs, and recruiting skilled trade professionals to teach high school courses. The governor says this is something he wants school districts to lean into.
I know there's been some progress, but candidly not enough progress. We want to make sure that there are offerings that are provided so that when a student graduates from high school, they'll have the skill training that they need to go directly into one of these high-skilled, high-training programs where they're going to be able to earn a lot of money in their first year out of high school.
The Texas Jobs Council is made up of leaders from a number of high-demand industries, including plumbing, oil, gas, and trucking. For many people, losing their hair can feel like losing a part of themselves. But one San Marcos woman is turning that experience into something powerful, redefining what confidence looks like. KVUE's Jessica Cha spoke to the owner of Prairie Fire Hair Collection about her mission.
At first glance, Prairie Fire Hair Collection looks like most salons.
And all we have to do is just give it a little bit of a direction.
But for women who sit in Kelly Engram's chair,
I just cannot get over how much I love that length on you.
it's often the first step towards feeling like themselves again.
I've had one chemo.
Okay. Most of Engram's customers are experiencing some kind of alopecia or hair loss.
Perhaps you were going through cancer treatments, or maybe you even have trichotillomania, which is, where you pull your hair.
So last year, Engram started making her own wigs and created a business out of it.
I keep coming back to this light Bernstein.
But her passion for selling wigs isn't just because she's obsessed with them.
There's curly, there's straight, there's blonde, there's brunette, there's black.
But it's also because she sat in the same seat her customers have.
So this is my personal wig, and I wear a wig grip.
Engram says she started experiencing alopecia in her 40s.
It affects your confidence in a way that you never even realized. When you have it, it's not an issue, but of course, when you lose it, it kind of becomes everything.
She says it can be something you constantly think about, but it's hard to talk about with others, and that can eat away at people.
I actually had a woman tell me that she was actually ready to end it all because she just didn't feel like herself anymore. She didn't feel worthy anymore.
So Engram says she's helping regrow people's confidence.
I can have short curly hair.
One wig at a time.
How I get to really know them as people and how I can understand what they're going through because I've done it myself. And it means the world to me.
Because no one should feel alone. And in her chair, you don't have to. In San Marcos, Jessica Cha, KVUE News.
Engram says she's hosting a grand opening celebration for her salon on July 10th and 11th. It will include a ribbon cutting ceremony, an open house, and free Wig 101 education. Barton Springs Pool reopened on Tuesday morning in Austin. It was closed for a week due to heavy rain and flooding. Austin Parks and Rec says crews came in and removed large tree branches, cans, fishing hooks, and other debris from the water. Workers also cleaned up the decks and put the diving board and lifeguard stands back in place. The nonprofit group Austin Angels is celebrating a major milestone. Its new foster care community center opened on Tuesday in Buda. It will serve as a hub for resources, mentorship, and support programs for foster families. They also received a $60,000 donation from City Limits Subaru, one of many partnerships helping to bring this project to life.
We know that not everybody's called to foster and not everybody's called to adopt, but everyone, literally everyone, can play a role and make a difference in a child's life. And you can be a car dealership and you can impact foster care.
Ramirez says the Foster Care Community Center is expected to officially open to the public at the beginning of July. That's all from us in Austin, and we're hoping you have a great day.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A weekend crash in Hill County claimed the lives of 6 people, with 2 of them being children. And now there is a child fighting for his life after he was rescued by a bystander. 6 News anchor Adriana Alexander has more details on the crash.
What began as an attempt to pass another vehicle ended in a devastating crash that claimed 6 lives and left 1 child with serious injuries.
You got to understand the roadway that you're on, look at the roadway patterns, and then just understand what's going on in the area.
Texas DPS reports that the June 20th crash happened in Hill County on State Highway 171 between Bynum and Malone. It was just after 4:30 p.m. when DPS says a northbound passenger car attempted to pass another vehicle on the 2-lane highway and collided head-on with an oncoming van. Both vehicles burst into flames after the impact. Texas DPS Sergeant Ryan Howard shared how this type of passing maneuver can be extremely dangerous.
When you're passing another vehicle, you need to make sure that you can do so safely. So that makes ensuring that there's no cars approaching, ensure that you can pass safely without interfering with the driver that you're passing, make sure that you're not approaching any intersections.
Hillsboro ISD confirmed 2 of the victims were students at Hillsboro Elementary, and the only survivor goes to that same school and is fighting for his life. Howard shared how that boy is alive because of the help of a bystander.
In this instance, I could tell you there was a bystander that took action. You know, we appreciate everything that bystander did. He actually took action, jumped in, and did the best he could, which resulted in 1 child being saved. So we really appreciate him for the acts of kindness and the things that he did and putting his own life at risk.
Authorities have not yet released the names of those involved in the crash, remains under investigation. Hillsboro ISD says counselors will be available this week to support students, staff, and families as the community mourns the loss. Meantime, more than a week after flash flooding caused damage across Waco and McLennan County, officials say the focus has shifted from response to recovery. Last week, local leaders and community partners hosted a disaster recovery center to help connect flood victims with resources. But now emergency management officials say they're starting to pick up the pieces and still need the community's help to do so.
The June 14th floodwaters are now gone in Waco, but the impacts are still being felt across the community. Last week, a disaster recovery center at the West Waco Library brought together local agencies and nonprofits to help residents navigate the aftermath.
The Red Cross was able to help with muck-out kits, with a couple of other things that they were passing out. As mentioned before, there was now a very well-documented case where a family had come in, had fairly substantial damage to their home, and we were able to connect them with Texans on Mission, who have come out and done a very good job helping them clean up their homes.
Emergency Management Director Ryan Durker says recovery efforts are also helping officials get a more clear picture of where the hardest hit areas were.
Every person who has put something in, even from our perspective, if there's no funds moving, which is regrettable for the people who have had impacts, some good does come out of it. We learn where clusters of issues were. And so we look at that and we go, why were so many people damaged in such a small area? If there is something we can do about that, we look to do that.
And more importantly, what needs to be improved before the next major storm?
What this flood taught us is there's some other places that we needed to take a look at as far as mitigation measures, things where water came up where we weren't expecting it. Learning all of those things and kind of the experiences of people will allow us to do a more thorough job in the months and years ahead of trying to mitigate against future damages from similar incidences.
As far as reconstruction across the city goes, there has already been some progress made in the week since the floods. Durker says he believes the city will be working to finish cleanup in the next several weeks.
Well, officials are still encouraging residents who experience flood damage to report it, saying the information helps them better understand the storm's impact and plan for future flood prevention projects. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas.
A Texas House committee heard testimony on Tuesday on one of the fastest growing and most controversial industries in the state, data centers. Lawmakers are examining how those facilities could impact Texas's water supply, and East Texans are making sure that their concerns are heard.
The Texas House Natural Resources Committee is taking a closer look at water use, conservation, and whether current laws are keeping up with new technology.
How state policy should be shaped in the coming months in order to conserve our most precious natural resources and still promote economic development.
A new Texas Tribune poll found more than half of Texans oppose data centers in their communities, with opposition even higher in rural areas.
We don't have enough information about how these are going to affect our communities. So what we're doing is just trying to have a voice for our citizens.
County Judge Kerry McKinney says Anderson County recently sent a resolution and petition with more than 1,500 signatures to state leaders. He says water use remains the biggest concern.
And that we're in a vigorous fight right now in East Texas, in multiple counties, to try to protect our groundwater. Our first priority should be protecting our citizens.
Another major topic inside the hearing room was transparency. Committee Chairman Cody Harris called out 2 companies invited to testify, saying they chose not to appear before lawmakers.
But when new developers like Diode Ventures enter a residential neighborhood intent on building a new data center and refuses to do any community town halls, refuses to discuss their water and electricity usage, and refuses to testify before this committee, then Texans rightfully get upset.
With more than 100 people signed up for public comment, many testified that technology is advancing faster than laws can keep up. Today's testimony could help shape future policy on water use, data centers, and development across Texas.
We're all dealing with the same issues, so let's do it together. Let's do it together.
A surge of students are heading to Nacogdoches after Stephen F. Austin State University broke ground on a new $40 million Center for Entrepreneurship. It's part of a wave of growth transforming the campus with more investment, development, and rising enrollment. CBS 19's Blake Neubauer shows us what's driving the growth.
From new buildings to busy walkways, there's a lot of change happening at Stephen F. Austin State University.
What we're finding is students want to be part of a lively campus.
Since joining the University of Texas system in 2023, the campus has seen major investments, including new facilities, expansion projects, and now a $40 million Center for Entrepreneurship.
They want to be, in a sense, find a sense of community, and the families want that for their students.
And that is evident based off new numbers collected by the school. Summer enrollment is at its highest since 2020, and the fall is shaping up to be another massive success for the Lumberjacks. While more buildings are being built all over the campus, scholarship opportunities are also becoming more and more student-friendly.
If you make $100,000 or less, you can come to school tuition and fee free. And so an affordable education with an unbelievable personalized experience. We know that it's special, but we're really excited to see that everyone else is seeing just how special we are.
As cranes continue to shape the skyline and enrollment continues to climb, university officials say their focus remains the same, giving students a place to learn, connect, and build their futures. In Nacogdoches, I'm Blake Neubauer, CBS 19 News.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. The National Transportation Safety Board now joining the investigation into what caused a Tesla to slam into a Katy home, killing a 76-year-old grandmother inside. The agency also expected to make safety recommendations. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration also looking into the case, also focusing on any vehicle safety concerns. And the Harris County Sheriff's Office is investigating for any potential criminal charges. As for the family of the victim, they have filed a lawsuit against the driver who survived the crash, as well as Tesla. Devon Rahman with the details.
Well, the family's attorney says that there are some pretty serious and critical questions that still need answering in regards to how this Tesla ended up in their family home, ultimately killing their loved one. The lawsuit was filed Tuesday on behalf of the family of 76-year-old Martha Avila, who was killed when investigators say a Tesla barreled into the family's Katy area home Friday night. Investigators say Avila was inside the house when the vehicle crashed through the structure, leaving her pinned beneath the debris.
She was the best grandma, the best mom. The loss is going to be very hard.
The driver, a 44-year-old man, survived the crash with serious injuries, and investigators say he had told authorities the vehicle's self-driving technology was active at the time. The family's attorney are now seeking damages and access to information they believe could help explain what happened in the moments leading up to the deadly collision. Now, on social media, in response to the self-driving feature claims, Elon Musk himself said this made no sense. Full self-driving drives slowly through neighborhood streets, and this was a high-speed crash. The company's VP of AI also responding, saying that vehicle data showed the driver press the accelerator to 100% and reached a speed of 73 miles per hour before the crash. Attorneys for the Avila family say they are aware of these statements, but believe more questions remain unanswered.
If his foot was on the accelerator, he should have a shattered leg as hard as it slammed into the barber's house.
Now, investigators with the Harris County Sheriff's Office say the investigation is still ongoing, and once it's complete, they will then hand this case over to the Harris County DA's office, who will ultimately decide if any charges will be filed. In Houston, Devon Raming, KHOU 11 News.
A major upgrade coming to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. On Wednesday, rodeo officials unveiling plans to build a new facility to be located about 3 miles from NRG or Reliant Park. Jason Miles has more on what rodeo goers can expect.
On land the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo has owned for decades, something big is blossoming along with these wildflowers.
This is the largest facilities investment in the rodeo's history.
I spoke with not only chairman of the board Wesley Siner, but president and CEO Chris Bowman about the massive project.
So right now this project looks like it's going to be roughly $300 million. And this is an investment from the rodeo.
The 1 million square foot facility will include a 5,000 seat arena, which will eventually replace the current NRG or Reliant arena currently used during the rodeo for things like horse and cattle shows.
All of the activities that are in the arena will be moved down here.
These are some of the renderings shared with us today. A 2019 study deemed the existing arena past its useful life.
As a matter of fact, we built the arena in the 1970s and gifted it to the park. And so it's basically the same concept we're doing here. We're just doing it at a property that we own.
Officials say the rodeo is still committed to NRG or Reliant Park and is currently in the middle of lease negotiations with the county. That includes discussion about the abandoned Astrodome. As for getting visitors and volunteers back and forth between two separate venues nearly 3 miles apart, that's part of a logistical plan that will come together along with this project.
But there will be a way to jump right on a shuttle and get to Reliant Park, and it may actually be easier than trying to park up there. So this might be a better experience.
That's Jason Miles reporting. World Cup tickets still a hot item as Houston prepares to host another match on Friday. But after some fans reported delayed or missing tickets from third-party platforms, KHOU 11 started looking into what fans should know before buying. Here's Jalissa Garza.
Fan Festival here in East Downtown is where a lot of people come to watch matches when they don't have tickets. And with Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia playing in Houston this Friday, I know a lot of fans, myself included, are still looking for tickets. So whether you're looking through FIFA's official platform or a third-party reseller, here's what to know before you click buy. Last week, KHOU 11's Maria Aguilera first reported on a Katy area family who said they paid about $3,000 for World Cup tickets through StubHub, but never made it into the match. After that story aired, StubHub refunded the family and provided tickets to another World Cup match. Since then, more fans have chimed in on social media with similar experiences. So KHOU 11 reached out to StubHub, who sent a statement saying the issues fans have experienced this World Cup are largely driven by problems with the event organizers' ticketing infrastructure, which it says has created transfer failures across resale platforms. The company also says every order is backed by its Fan Protect guarantee, and that when a transfer is interrupted, it works to find a comparable replacement ticket or issue a full refund. But StubHub says that does not cover travel or hotel costs. FIFA, meanwhile, says FIFA.com/tickets is the official ticket sales channel and says it can guarantee the validity and delivery of tickets purchased through its official platforms. So if you are going outside that official platform, a Houston ticket broker says the key is making sure you know who you are buying from.
Until the day of the concert or the event, or until the seller delivers the tickets, it's not a done deal until you have the tickets in your hand.
So the big takeaway here is there's always some level of risk if you're buying tickets through a third-party seller. So check early, make sure the ticket is actually in your account, and if it's not, you want to contact support before heading towards the stadium. Reporting in East Downtown, Julissa Garza, KHOU 11 News.
That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. The Johnson County Sheriff is on trial in a case that started with accusations he sexually harassed employees. As Brittany Costello reports, criminal charges were filed when former employees claimed Sheriff Adam King retaliated against them for reporting those allegations.
The defense spent most of the day cross-examining Deputy Chief James Salter. They're trying to prove there were other reasons he was disciplined shortly after reporting those allegations against the sheriff. The state spent time today countering those claims. Salter was placed on leave in August 2025, about a week after the sheriff became aware Salter was cooperating with investigators. Defense attorneys claim he was placed on leave because of something Salter said in a conversation with another deputy, a conversation that was recorded without his knowledge and shared with the sheriff. Salter said he was suspended for 3 weeks, a process that normally starts an internal affairs investigation, but he says that never happened. He was eventually allowed to go back to work, but claims he was stripped of the responsibility he normally had as a deputy chief. He was placed on leave again last month. The defense claims it's because he was double dipping, getting a full check while working other jobs. The defense said it was because he wasn't submitting complete timesheets. Salter says he has been working those side jobs with the sheriff's knowledge and permission for more than 2 years. He says the sheriff never required them to submit timesheets. The county personnel director took the stand next. He says county policies around completed timesheets may not apply to elected offices. His testimony seemed to back up what Salter told jurors. In Johnson County, I'm Brittany Costello.
A new mixed income development is coming to South Dallas. 3021 will be located along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in a space once occupied by the old Save-A-Lot grocery store. Minnie Hicks spoke with some of the neighbors who live nearby who say they're excited about the project.
Of course, you got the men in Nehemiah, like I was speaking, and then you got the Forest Forward.
The mural on Hans Smith's barbershop is a love letter to South Dallas.
These are the two high schools. You have Madison that just won, I think, the state championship this past year for basketball. And that's my mother went to Madison.
A love that goes back generations. But he says this community gets an unfair reputation and not a lot of investment.
Actually being here and living here, getting to know the people here are very genuine.
And he's hopeful more people will experience all the good in South Dallas with a new $20 million housing project. This old Save-A-Lot here on MLK Boulevard will soon be 3021.
So this project is 86 units. We'll do 50% affordable, 50% market rate.
Smith says it's the first of its kind of housing development on the MLK corridor.
This project is a catalyst for development to come down this corridor, and we hope that everybody sees that South Dallas is really open for business.
It's a project that wasn't on Hans Smith's radar a decade ago.
I wouldn't have imagined, the change in how fast it's happened.
Every image on his mural wall is a reflection of the positive people and places in South Dallas. And he's not ruling out adding more.
Do you think when that apartment building goes up, do you think you're gonna put them on here too?
Well, I don't know, we might think maybe we could.
In South Dallas, I'm Mitty Hicks.
One town in North Texas is dealing with a unique problem right now: wild birds. As Cole Sullivan reports, they're attacking people as they come and go from Sac City Hall.
The invasion came unannounced. The attacks that followed,
they think that anything is a threat,
did not.
They were dive bombing some people.
City Hall in Sac has some ruffled feathers.
They're not really out to injure you. They're kind of just trying to shush you away from what they feel is the danger zone.
A flock of grackles have taken roost in the parking lot.
As any good parents, they are being very protective of their nest.
And there is nothing the city can do about it.
They're federally protected through the Migratory Bird Treaty Act.
Nothing they can do but smile.
But I do keep having coworkers come up to me and tell me increasingly ridiculous stories.
The stories of, let's call it survival, have kept workers chirping.
As I was walking by, watching one, the other one came on the other side, but I'm quick with working with cats, so I moved out of the way.
You'll hear references to Hitchcock horrors, see umbrellas on a sunny day.
Oh, there it goes.
And share a frequent shout. Duck.
I was fortunately warned in time, so I have not experienced a dive bomb.
The birds will flee their nests here within a couple of weeks. City bureaucracy will come back down to earth. But they'll leave behind more than some scat and a story.
I think it brought staff together. Everyone's kind of watching out for each other, so it's kind of a bonding experience.
Friendships forged by a feathered invasion. In Sac, I'm Cole Sullivan.
The Tarrant County Sheriff's Department just opened a new state-of-the-art training center, and as Scoop Jefferson reports, it's now being used by the first class of cadets.
The new Tarrant County Sheriff's training facility you see behind me has been 3 years in the making and now open with state-of-the-art technology. The first round of cadets is already in their first week at the new Tarrant County Training Academy. The 57 future detention officers first to use the 70,000 square feet space that features 6 classrooms with breakout walls to increase space. There is also a full-size fitness center for deputies and detention officers to use 24/7. The state-of-the-art training will include a driving simulator along with a weapons simulator. Our tour of the facility included this demonstration of one of the department's 20 new taser gloves. When necessary, trained supervisors use the gloves as one of their de-escalation tools with a combative inmate. The facility also has a defensive tactics room with 2 full-size jail cells where cadets learn extraction techniques, a game changer, the sheriff says, when it comes to training.
But we were having to, make up a mock cell that wasn't already built for us. We're doing it with movable walls and building our plywood, things that we're just making up in our own head on how do we train our people right, which now we have these things that are been awarded to us and afforded to us.
And because of the technology here at the facility, the sheriff allows other jurisdictions to come here for training. In Tarrant County, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Pretty impressive. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Well, Texas weather dominated by heat, humidity for the eastern half of the state, and a lack of rain, all because of this mountain of air, a dome of high pressure in the mid and upper levels moving in from the desert southwest and Mexico. And that's the pattern that keeps us in the summer heat dome, makes it very hot and brings us a lack of rain. And you can see how rain has been forced up over and around the edge of the dome. That's a very common pattern with these heat domes, and that's what we've got at least through the end of the week. Is the dome will be centered over West Texas. You'll have the hottest temperatures here, but it'll be tough to get much rain going at all in the state. Let's take a look at the high-res modeling. Going to Thursday afternoon, very little rain chance, Dallas to Brownsville. There could be an isolated shower out in the mountains of West Texas. You'll notice quite a bit of shower activity desert southwest. That is the monsoonal flow coming around the backside of that high, brings in moisture from off the Pacific, and they get scattered showers in the desert and the mountain west in that setup. And the thunder showers pushed off to the north and east of Texas on the edge of that heat dome. All that being said, it's not perfect. So by 8:30 in the evening Thursday, there could be a couple of thunder showers, Amarillo, Borger, just across the Red River from Wichita Falls up to Oak City. And some of that could bring a clap of thunder late night in Thursday night, early Friday morning to the Wichita Fall area down to San Angelo. Maybe Abilene gets clipped. But again, the chance there is quite low. And so most of the state is quiet Friday morning and then Friday afternoon. Tough to get a scattered shower almost anywhere in the state. And as I mentioned, because it's centered out here, the hottest temperatures in Texas will be in West Texas Thursday afternoon near 100, El Paso, Del Rio, Lubbock, Midland, mid-90s, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. And we'll do that again on Friday with triple digits, Del Rio, Midland, Lubbock, and mid-90s, Dallas to Houston to San Antonio. Tropics, Gulf's quiet, open Atlantic and Caribbean quiet. Hurricane Center says no tropical development expected here for the next 7 days. We continue to take it one day at a time. The dust will be a factor. Now, there's a big, thick plume of Saharan dust out here over the open Atlantic. There's another one about to come off the west coast of Africa. Dust can suppress tropical development this time of the year. It often does. And we often get plumes of dust that follow the trade winds all the way into Texas. And that's what's going to happen going into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Basically, I-35 corridor east, you will notice hazy skies Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as a thick plume of dust moves in. Most of that is at 5,000 feet, but some of it can work its way down to the surface. It can be a little bit of an irritant if you are sensitive to that. All right, Texas, that's where we stand.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin, and we're learning new details about a deadly stabbing that happened late Tuesday night in South Austin. Officers responded to the scene on South Lamar Boulevard near Oltorf after a woman called 911 saying she'd been stabbed. When they arrived, officers found a man's body with a knife in his hand. Investigators say the woman was walking home when the man confronted her and threatened her. Police say the woman pulled out her own knife in self-defense, and the two stabbed each other. The woman was taken to the hospital and later released. Hays County leaders are stepping up efforts to fight a growing rabies outbreak. The county is tracking a rise in confirmed cases involving skunks, foxes, and bats. KVU's Jessica Cha explains why some residents say the action is overdue.
I think we're on to K3.
At Tuesday's commissioners
K3,
meeting,
discussion and possible action to adopt a resolution related to the rabies outbreak in Central Texas.
Hays County public health officials said they can't wait any longer.
We are considered hotspots with rabies and foxes.
In the last several years, Hays County has seen a change in rabies activity in skunks, foxes, and bats.
We went from 2 lab confirmed cases in 2021 to 10 in 2025.
According to the Texas Department of Health and Services statewide rabies surveillance map, there are 11 to 16 confirmed positive rabies cases this year.
Recently, we have seen an increase in cases and in reports of unusual wildlife behavior, which is part of why this resolution is timely.
Commissioners unanimously voted to pass a resolution to address this outbreak, urging DSHS to seek financial assistance from federal and state agencies for rabies prevention.
So just to resume that funding would be greatly appreciated because it's very apparent why it was needed in the first place.
But Hays County residents like Riley Bach are concerned there hasn't been quicker action.
It's a good first step. But this has been a problem since 2024 now.
In May of 2025, Bach says he and his mother were attacked by a rabid fox during a hike in the Purgatory Natural Area in San Marcos.
I was about 5-10 feet in front of her, and I heard her scream out. And when I turned around, there's a little fox attacking her. She was hitting him with the water bottle.
San Marcos officials had been investigating a series of fox attacks along the trail, warning others of potential rabies exposure.
You see this tiny pierce right there? That alone is enough for it to be effective for rabies.
Bach says he hopes prevention strategies go into effect soon because the attack has left its mark.
I'm not scared of humans now, I'm scared of animals.
And that was Jessica Cha reporting. Travis County is currently facing a public defender shortage. In Texas, it's the responsibility of counties, not the state, to hire public defense attorneys for people who are accused of crimes and can't afford an attorney on their own. At a Travis County Commissioners meeting on Wednesday, county officials said they've gone from having about 250 lawyers who work as public defenders to 125. The county's chief public defender said in 2024, the average public defender had 124 cases, which she argues doesn't allow attorneys to devote enough time to each case.
When we ask ourselves, what are we doing? What are we funding? We're not just funding sort of like a churn of cases to close. There are people's lives on the other side of these cases.
County officials who work in the courts said the county should explore ways to boost funding and expand its public defender's office. They also want to recruit more attorneys and encourage private lawyers to take on public defense cases. Governor Greg Abbott is officially applying to get reimbursed for what Texas spent on border security during the Biden administration. The governor says he submitted the paperwork to the federal government today. He says during the Biden administration, Texas spent $10 billion of taxpayer money on Operation Lone Star. And that included sending Texas National Guard soldiers and state troopers to the border and building border barriers. Republicans passed a border security reimbursement program as part of the One Big Beautiful bill last summer. First, Texas is asking for reimbursement from the Department of Homeland Security. The state also plans to ask for reimbursement from the Department of Justice in the near future. The Travis County District Attorney's Office wants you to be on alert about an ongoing phone scam. Now, the DA's office says since last Tuesday, residents have been contacted by someone posing as a staff member. Scammers tell residents they're under investigation and ask them to do things like call the scammer back or complete questionnaires before asking for money. The scammer may use the names of real staff members or spoof the phone numbers to look legit. The DA's office says it will never threaten arrest or demand money. So if you've received a call like this, you can call the attorney's office at the number on your screen to authenticate the call. Austin-based Hop Dottie Burger Bar has been acquired by Founders Table Restaurant Group. The New York-based restaurant group has more than 200 restaurants across 18 states. Hop Dottie currently operates more than 30 locations in Texas. Founders Table says the acquisition will help Hop Dottie expand using their existing supply chain and real estate network. The superintendent of Hays CISD is planning to retire after nearly 10 years on the job. Superintendent Dr. Eric Wright has announced his plans to step down at the end of next February. He spent nearly 4 decades working in education, and he's the second longest serving superintendent in Hays CISD's history. In a message to families, Dr. Wright said it has been the honor of his life to serve as superintendent. Long before concrete was used to build bridges across Texas' lakes and rivers, road builders used stones. And today, only a few stone bridges remain. On The Backstory, Bob Buckaloo shows us a survivor, the longest arched stone bridge in the state, and it often surprises people when they see it.
You see this arched stone bridge in almost West Texas, and you wonder how it got here.
Possum Kingdom Lake winds through cliffs and valleys 60 miles west of Fort Worth. A mile south of the dam, what looks like a Roman aqueduct spans the Brazos River. This stone arch bridge is a relic of FDR's Depression-era Works Progress Administration, the WPA. It was finished in 1942.
They found unemployed coal miners from the southern part of the county down south that were experienced with working, digging out coal, and were physically able to do this manual labor.
The former coal miners had worked in mines in Strawn, Thurber, and Mingus that closed down after the railroad switched to oil. It's the longest stone bridge in Texas. It survived droughts, floods, and modern highway traffic.
Texas Highway Department inspects and monitors the bridge continuously to make sure it is stable, and it's as stable as almost the day it was finished and completed.
It's also the starting point for the John Graves Scenic Riverway, honoring the writer who memorialized the Brazos in his classic Goodbye to a River, the account of his 170-mile canoe trip in 1957. Some say it's the best stretch of fly fishing in the state. At some point, a new road and bridge will bypass the old, but they'll be preserved along with this, a boot print left by one of the workers, frozen in time and history. Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
And that's all from us in Austin. Have a great day.
I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. After recent rain soaked parts of South Texas, the water is still making its way through the river system. As Michael Gibson shows us, the Nueces is running high, and downstream communities are watching closely as that water helps recharge Lake Corpus Christi.
Here in McMullen County, about 10 miles south of Tilden along State Highway 16, you can see the Nueces River Bridge finally has some water flowing underneath it. So much so that it's causing low-level flooding, but there's no one here in this county complaining about that fact. All of this water is racing down the Nueces River near Tilden after heavy rains drenched the watershed last Monday and Tuesday. McMullen County Judge James Teal says it's been years since he's seen this much rainfall and can't remember the last time the Nueces River looked quite like this.
Any rainfall is welcome in McMullen County, and it's been quite some time since we've seen it this green, and we really, really thank God for each and every drop that we've gotten.
Farther downstream in Three Rivers, the Atascosa River is still flowing, although not nearly as dramatically as it was just a few weeks ago. The Frio River at Tips Park remains full and continues carrying water toward the Nueces, helping keep the system replenished.
We feel like we've been getting a lot of good water up from north, from Pleasanton. Also a little bit has been coming down the Frio on the Tilden. It just started coming down a couple of days ago. The lake level has risen up to, I believe, 8.8 at the highest.
In the coming weeks, Three Rivers expects to bring another water source online, giving the city more flexibility and reducing its dependence on flows from Choke Canyon Reservoir and the Frio River.
The water well should be completed in the next week and a half. By sometime next week, we'll have it ready. We're just finishing up a few things on the electrical side.
It's all part of Three Rivers' push toward greater water independence. City leaders say our recent drought reinforced a hard lesson across South Texas that when it comes to water, relying on multiple sources is often the safest bet. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
Thank you, Michael. And construction on the new Bob Hall Pier is moving along quickly, especially work on the restaurant. Natalia Osuna hit the pier to find out what locals hope makes it onto the menu with a side of those waterfront views.
It's out with the old and in with the new here at Bob Hall Pier as construction is underway for the new restaurant. And the big question is, who will put their sign up on those front doors and welcome folks in to take a seat?
Tuna fish and rice.
For little Ian, seafood would be his ideal meal while visiting the pier with his grandpa.
Me and my grandpa like to work for $10.
For him, food plays a big role in making memories with his family. Daniel and Luciana agree. Excited to do some fishing, they say seafood should be the main focus.
They should put like, you hook it, we cook it. Type of thing.
That would be really good.
They're visiting the pier for the first time from California, saying it represents a place of tradition, relaxation, and gathering.
A little restaurant where family and dogs and just everybody is like welcome.
To many in the Coastal Bend, Bob Hall Pier holds a special place in their heart.
It's iconic. It's been since the late 40s, early 50s.
Scott Cross with Nueces County Coastal Park says the concession stand will sit on one side of the pier while the restaurant will be on the other.
They've done all the demo, and I think the last thing for them to do on the old observation deck was to tear off the shingles.
Now the next step is to open up requests for proposals for any restaurant who's interested.
I allow those proposers that are out there an opportunity to put together whatever they think is going to fit best for that operation up there, and we'll see what we get.
Cross says that in the past, the restaurant's benefits have gone beyond tradition. they've translated into financial impact for the whole county.
A tremendous amount of revenue. What the revenue that pier generated, whether it was us running the pier or our negotiations with our concessionaire services up there combined.
Cross tells me that it's about a 3-month process from when they put out that request for proposals and then they make that decision of which restaurant will be sitting here behind me. Then he says they hope to have everything up and running in October. Reporting on the island, I'm Natalia Suna, 3 News.
That's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. New details emerging in the case of former Hardin-Jefferson ISD teacher and coach Derek Pivato. Now, he was arrested, or Pivato, I should say. He was arrested Monday after allegedly having an inappropriate relationship with a student at the high school. And according to a probable cause affidavit, Pivato, he took the teen to several different locations and engaged in sexual activity in his truck. 12 News reporter Ebony Coleman, she spoke with sexual assault advocates about how cases like this develop and the warning signs that families should be watching out for.
He's good looking. He's, a football coach.
Former Hardin-Jefferson ISD teacher and coach Derek Pivato is making headlines after his arrest Monday for allegedly having a sexual relationship with the 16-year-old student.
They start paying them a lot of attention, making them like the teacher's pet.
Bunny Spots with Rape and Suicide Crisis of Southeast Texas calls it grooming. And it's not just for the students.
If it's athletics, they'll even say, hey, man, I'll get your kid a scholarship.
According to a probable cause affidavit, investigators say Pivato took the student to several locations, including a gas station, to have sex. Authorities say photos and videos from a June 13th incident were later recovered after the victim voluntarily surrendered her phone.
There's platforms that schools have for those appropriate communications. I honestly don't believe that there should be any outside, personal calls or personal texts.
Brittany De La Garza, education coordinator with Embracing Freedom, says cases like this are usually the beginning of something worse.
We don't know what could have happened further, where he could have potentially made money out of what he was doing as well.
12 News learned that Pivato was set to work at Jasper ISD for the upcoming school year. The district immediately ended his at-will summer coaching assignment and revoked his offer of employment.
If anyone is questioning if someone did something wrong here, he definitely did something wrong.
Spot says coaches and teachers also need to protect themselves and know what appropriate contact looks like.
If some girl's coming on to you and always kind of hugging you a little too long or wanting to hang out when nobody else is back there, you got to nip it in the bud for your own protection.
And that was Ebony Coleman reporting. Pivato, he remains in the Jefferson County Jail on a $500,000 bond. Spot says if families need to talk, the Rape and Suicide Crisis Center of Southeast Texas offers free counseling. Well, Tydrick Davis is still on the run, and he's charged with the murder in the 2024 killing of Ebony Gilbert. Despite that charge, Davis was released from state jail back on March 30th. The TDCJ says it did not have the documentation needed to keep him in custody, but the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office provided this undated form to 12 News that requested the state transfer Davis to the county's custody. According to Sheriff Zena Stevens, he was sent with that paperwork to prison in November. Well, the TDCJ says that they never received it, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office isn't speaking publicly about their search for Davis, but a private detective agency is. Corbin Clay Investigations tells 12 News reporter Daniela Tabuada-Palau that they are joining forces with law enforcement to find Davis and bring him back to be prosecuted.
He needs to be back in custody to face the charges that he's been indicted for.
That's the message from the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. 12 News first discovered last Monday through TDCJ records that Tydrick Davis had been released from state custody on March 30th. District Attorney Britt Featherston says law enforcement agencies are now actively working to locate him.
There's a combination of federal, state, and local law enforcement that are making those efforts to get him back in custody as we speak.
As of Tuesday morning, a new group is joining the efforts.
We're all hands on deck here, and I'm sure every asset, every agency or whoever's involved in this is doing the same thing.
Corbin Clay Investigations is a private investigative company who says once they found out about Davis's case, they immediately began working leads.
Researching social media, researching our search websites. We have specific search engines. We're utilizing all our platforms to try to locate this individual.
The effort is being welcomed by Davis's family, who issued a statement to 12 News saying, in part, "We are grateful for the assistance of private investigators and state representatives who have joined our quest for justice for Ebony, and we welcome any additional peaceful support." While the search expands, questions remain over how Davis was released in the first place. Last Thursday, a Texas state representative wrote a letter to the chairman of the House Committee of Corrections requesting a hearing to, quote, determine how this failure occurred and to provide the family of Miss Ebony Gilbert, as well as the people of Texas, with answers. In the meantime, private investigators alongside law enforcement are determined to find Davis.
Everybody or anybody that's in that situation needs to be found no matter what.
And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Police say a man was stabbed multiple times Wednesday afternoon inside a public restroom downtown. Vanessa Croy has details from the scene.
Police are telling us this was a random attack, violence unfolding in the heart of downtown. They tell us that a man was in this restroom off Cameron Street washing his hands when another man came up from out of nowhere and stabbed him in the back multiple times. They say the man was able to run to the front of the Holiday Inn Express right through the doors and call for help. That's where EMS found him and rushed him to the hospital. Right now, police are telling us that man's injuries are life-threatening. As for the suspect, they say they caught up with him about a block away from here. He is now in custody, facing charges for this violent attack. They tell us that they also found a knife on that suspect, which they tell us is 36 years old. Right now, they are still trying to investigate exactly what led up to the attack, but they did tell us the two men did not know each other. Once again, we don't have an update on the injuries of that victim. Police could only tell us he's in critical condition at the hospital right now. The man at 52 years old fighting for his life. As soon as we get an update, we'll share it with you. Reporting downtown, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
A man is still recovering in the hospital following a brutal attack after the last game in the NBA Finals. The beating was outside Hotel Valencia, where it was caught on surveillance video. Simone Simpson spoke with the victims.
For millions of Knicks fans, it was a night to remember. But for one father and son who flew to San Antonio, originally from New Jersey, it was a night they'll never forget for a very different reason.
I'm grateful that my dad's okay. Could have gone so much worse. It was terrifying, but thank God the both of us are all right.
Police say it was just after midnight, June 14th, when Daniel Prager and his father Larry stepped out of a lift and two men attacked.
Just started punching us, started attacking. My dad hit the ground immediately. I was half a second after him on the ground. He hit his head on the pavement.
According to the police report, the officer who responded to the call said they found Larry bleeding from his head with large bumps across his face.
I had a brain bleed. I got 6 stitches over my eye. I think that was the #1 source of blood. I have a torn AC joint in my shoulder.
Daniel says during the attack, more and more people started harassing them.
I was alert enough. I was holding him, and we had enough people around us that nobody else was able to get a punch in, but people were coming in and harassing us, saying, "Serves you right, you."
Cops say Daniel was left with minor bumps and bruises on his face, too. His father was taken to the hospital. Surveillance footage from Hotel Valencia shows the brawl. Daniel says detectives need help locating a red 4-door Chevy truck.
There were a lot of good people who helped us.
One thing the two of them will take away from this experience.
We had a phenomenal father-son memory that we created by going in and seeing Game 5 of the NBA Finals and seeing our team win. And really that's what we're going to focus on moving forward.
Camp Mystic, the all-girls summer camp where 27 campers and counselors, along with the camp director, died in last year's July 4th flood, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. An attorney representing some of the victims' families had this to say about the filing nearly 1 year after the floods.
I've already spoken with most, if not all, of our clients this morning, and literally this is just another slap in their face that the people that caused the deaths of their daughter are seeking to avoid accountability.
Court filings show Camp Mystic told the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Houston that it owes more than $10 million. The camp, located along the Guadalupe River, reported assets between $100,000 and $500,000. Nearly a year after floodwaters destroyed his home, a Kerrville man is building back stronger. But he says the real story isn't the construction, it's the community that helped him through it. Roxy Van Rooten has the story.
Nearly a year ago, Daniel Oliva stood here surrounded by what was left of his home. The July 4th flood filled it with nearly 7 feet of water. Now, the damage was so severe the house had to be torn down, and today the house is gone. But the foundation for a new one is finally in place.
We had so many people step up last year that came and helped us out with the house.
Rebuilding has taken time because this property sits in a floodplain now. The new house had to be redesigned, raised on 8-foot piers, and built above last year's flood levels.
So the bottom of one of the piers is about 2 feet higher than what the flood would be if it happens again.
The extra height is designed to give the home a better chance of withstanding future flooding. But Daniel says what's carried him through the past year isn't the construction, it's the people.
And it's just been a renewal of faith in the community and, the people stepping up with, I don't even know who you are, but I'm going to help you.
Churches, neighbors, a local architect, and builder all helped to make the rebuild possible. He also points to a Facebook page where people help return photos and keepsakes recovered after the flood. To him, it's another example of a community that still shows up for its neighbors.
People that we didn't know at the time. But they just keep in touch with us, and they're out there and saying, hey, let us know if you need anything.
As Kerrville approaches the 1-year anniversary of the flood, Daniel says his heart is still with the families who lost loved ones, but he's also grateful for the community that's helped him keep moving forward.
People have just embraced us and supported us, like building this thing, and just the love in their eyes.
Construction will continue for several more months, but Daniel is already looking ahead to next summer. The next time we visit Daniel, he hopes it won't be a construction site, it'll be a home. Roxy Van Rooten, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Right now, the Gatesville Messenger is working to recover local history dating back to the 1930s after the newspaper's office, along with several nearby buildings, were destroyed in a fire back in March. 6 News anchor Adriana Alexander has more on how their next goal is to piece together their town's history.
The people in this community, they need a newspaper. They want a newspaper.
The Gatesville Messenger has documented the people, events, and milestones that have shaped the community since it was founded in 1887. And their archives dated back to 1936.
Those things you can't replace.
But a destructive fire that burnt down their building, along with several other historical structures in March, changed everything.
Everyone in the community was concerned, is this going to continue on?
I sat there on the curb of the courthouse and I started crying because the archives meant so much to me since I write a lot of history articles.
All of the staff members had no office to work in.
There was about a month where we were in limbo, not really knowing what was going on. I was working from my home out in Waco.
But their commitment to telling local stories never wavered.
I went to the Gatesville Public Library. They have study rooms with computers. That was my little cubbyhole office for several months.
And this past Saturday, the newspaper announced that their new headquarters had been moved to the Gatesville Primary School. Their next mission is to preserve history by building back up their archives.
Just invite anybody that has newspapers to bring them to us, and we will be very appreciative of that.
Their hope is to obtain every edition the newspaper has ever published and keep history alive for future generations.
I know we relied heavily on those historical documents that we lost for our history stories, and we had a lot of good information in those, so hopefully we can recover those.
In other news, Hill County officials are taking precautionary steps against a growing threat to Texas livestock and animals. County leaders declared a local disaster earlier yesterday in response to the spread of the New World screwworm, a parasitic pest that can cause severe injury or death to animals. But officials say this move is all about prevention before it's too late. Hill County is now under a local disaster declaration after officials work to stay ahead of the threat posed by the New World screwworm. County Emergency Management Coordinator Chris Jackson says the declaration isn't a response to a local outbreak, it's about preparation.
The moment we declare a disaster, all of a sudden people open their eyes a little bit more and they take it a little bit more serious. So due to the fact that just over the weekend there's been additional cases after the rain kind of subsided is what we're looking at. Still a growing threat to Texas as a whole, in my opinion. And so it's just one of those things to help prepare the community should something come this way.
The declaration, approved by Hill County commissioners, comes after more than a dozen confirmed cases of the parasite were found in Texas counties. Jackson says if the pest were to reach Hill County, local officials would rely heavily on state and federal partners for expertise and response efforts.
We're going to rely heavily on, the Texas Animal Health Commission, Texas Division of Emergency Management, as well as the USDA and other, Texas A&M AgriLife, other state level entities. On our end, it's just a formality of making it also any of our resources available to them. We've already crossed that red tape and we're ready if it comes this way.
Officials say Hill County's large livestock population and abundant wildlife make early awareness especially important. For now, county leaders stress there are no confirmed or suspected cases of the New World screwworm in Hill County.
But with that, everyone needs to be proactive on their part of checking their animals, checking their livestock, doing any preventative measures that their veterinarian recommends that they do for their animals or livestock to prevent it.
And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The Mount Pleasant community is continuing to grieve the loss of Gavin and Morgan Brooks, a brother and sister remembered not just for their athletic talent, but for the joy they brought to every room they entered. CBS 19's Blake Neubauer spoke with the coaches and mentors who say their legacy will live on.
At Mount Pleasant High School, the loss of Gavin and Morgan Brooks is being felt in every hallway, every locker room, and every heart they touched. Coaches say the siblings were known for far more than their athletic ability. They were the kind of people who made others better simply by just being around them.
They're both kids that brought a positivity to life, and a positivity not just to our field house and our school, but to our community.
Morgan, a 2023 graduate, made her mark in cheerleading, basketball, volleyball, and track. Her younger brother Gavin followed in her footsteps, competing in football, basketball, and track while emerging as a leader his teammates looked up to. But those who knew them say their greatest strength wasn't found on the scoreboard.
When they walked in a room, I mean, you really couldn't help but smile. You could be having a bad day or a bad practice, and Gavin would walk in and big old smile, braces and everything, and just, I mean, it was, it was a spark.
Secondary coach Ladarius Craddock says Gavin's personality helped hold his team together.
Gavin was a leader of that bunch. One of his teammates, we talked yesterday, it was like, I don't know how the room's going to be without Gavin, because Gavin was the core.
As classmates, friends, and family members continue to mourn, their coaches say the Brooks siblings left behind a powerful example of kindness, humility, and love.
Love each other, and we don't know when God calls us home, and to continue to love each other, and there's nothing more powerful than love. Without, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Gavin and Morgan both lived their life like that.
Coaches say that while their time was far too short, Gavin and Morgan's impact will continue to be felt through the teammates, friends, and community members whose lives they changed. In Mount Pleasant, I'm Blake Neubauer, CBS 19 News.
A large missionary army continues to mourn the loss of 17-year-old Jaeger Randall, who died over the weekend. Now they're continuing with their acts of kindness, helping seniors in need. Alan Casper caught up with the volunteers from the Woodlands as they show off their faith by helping others.
We are working
partnering with UM Army, United in Mission, and their goal is to spread the love of Jesus Christ throughout the United States of America.
We have over 185 kids and over 100 adults that have volunteered to spend a week of their summer up here helping the less fortunate and giving back to those that need a little help.
We're a part of this organization that comes out and fixes up their house. We come out here once a summer, and this year we were thankfully allowed to come to Tyler
to do a variety of projects. Wheelchair ramps, siding, painting, decks, porches, almost anything that the client needs. We are here to support whatever they've asked for, whatever they need.
Hi, Miss Barbara. How are you? That's a mail. Oh, okay.
Meals on Wheels is actually one of our community partners. They actually identify in many cases the needs because they're seeing these clients on a daily basis and they understand what their needs are.
We got here Monday and we've been working every single day until like 4 o'clock.
We have 45 project sites. We've got over 45 teams. Each team consists of one what we call work team adult and 4 or 5 students.
This is my 3rd year. I enjoy coming back just because